Chapter 1509. As the seeds of the gardener konjac entered the mouth of Relinquish, the three mouths of Relinquish, which were like furnaces, began to rumble violently. A majestic energy was awakened from the mouth of Relinquish. This energy affected the mouth of Relinquish, causing it to expand continuously. The three mouths of Relinquish expanded to a size of nearly 10 meters. At that moment, Red Thorn's voice echoed in his mind. Red Thorn was requesting Lin Yuan to choose its evolution direction. Lin Yuan knew that Red Thorn was going to evolve. In terms of evolution options, Lin Yuan didn't hesitate to continue to choose to enhance Red Thorn's digestive ability. It could be said that Red Thorn had been reaping the benefits of its digestive ability ever since it grew up. When Red Thorn was digesting, it could absorb a portion of the digested object's energy to strengthen itself. Hence, improving Red Thorn's digestive ability was equivalent to improving Red Thorn's overall quality. After Lin Yuan made his choice, the three mouths of Relinquish that had expanded to 10 meters continued to expand. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan hurriedly summoned Red Thorn back to his room from the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He then summoned the ethereal jellyfish and let it teleport through the node. He teleported himself and Red Thorn to the previously marked wilderness. The Spirit Lock spatial zone was only so big, and Lin Yuan had made use of it. The Spirit Lock spatial zone was filled with all sorts of fays. If he allowed Red Thorn's mouth of Relinquish to continue expanding, it might affect the safety of the other fays in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Now, in the wilderness, Red Thorn was expanding without restraint. Eventually, the three mouths of Relinquish expanded to a diameter of about 15 meters. The increase in the size of the mouth of Relinquish was also a manifestation of an enhanced digestive ability. Like two stomachs, a small stomach, a big stomach. If the digestive efficiency of a large stomach and a small stomach were the same, the larger stomach would always be able to digest more food than the smaller stomach. The evolving Red Thorn spawned a few rammets on the ground near him. It took root in the ground and absorbed a large amount of nutrients from the soil, causing a large area of land to become desertified. The rhizome shattered the sandy soil, and Red Thorn's three mouths of Relinquish actually burrowed into the soil bit by bit. Upon seeing this scene, Lin Yuan could not help but be slightly stunned. After that, he knew that this was a habit that Red Thorn had developed at the bottom of the sea. When he had been at the bottom of the sea, he had realized that Red Thorn liked to drill into the sand. Now that Red Thorn was evolving, these were all unconscious actions. He could only wait for Red Thorn to complete its evolution before letting the mouth of Relinquish emerge from the ground. After more than half an hour, Lin Yuan saw a huge flower bud with a diameter of nearly 10 meters burrowing out of the ground. Then, the flower bud bloomed and turned into a huge red flower with a crown of nearly 50 meters. The petals of the flower were like gauze, dancing in the air with the breeze. This dark red color was like a flame dancing in the wind. Immediately after, the ground trembled, and three mouths of Relinquish emerged from the ground. It turned out that above the three mouths of Relinquish, a flower neck had grown out from the central region, and this huge red flower had bloomed. At that moment, Lin Yuan saw the petals in the flower opening layer by layer. Red Thorn's figure appeared in the heart of the flowers. The barefooted Red Thorn sat on the center of the flower, as though it was a queen on a throne, inspecting everything. Red Thorn did not inform the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee about its evolution. This caused the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee to almost lose her life in the mouth of Relinquish. However, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee didn't mind at all. After all, what right did simps have to care? Now that the house was several times bigger than before, and the acid was more abundant, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee couldn't be happier. Lin Yuan keenly noticed that the front of the mouth of Relinquish's tongue of Relinquish had completely forked. The tip of the tongue of Relinquish that was originally consumed protruded out a purple tongue tip. Red Thorn had already pounced into Lin Yuan's embrace. Lin Yuan asked, "Red Thorn, your Relinquish tongue seems to have split. Can your Relinquish tongue control 3 more targets?" Red Thorn nodded its head and replied, "Lin Yuan, I can still control 3 more bad guys." To Red Thorn, Han Tianhe, Lu Yenshan, and Di Wanmi were all its enemies. Therefore, in Red Thorn's mouth, these people were naturally the bad guys. At that moment, Lin Yuan had already used Morbius True Data to investigate Red Thorn's grade. Fey name, Red Thorn, Six-Winged Demon, Thousand Eye Sacrificial Offering, Spirit Species, Vine Subspecies/Fairy Species, Fey Grade, Platinum, 3 out of 10. Fey Type, Source/Wood, Fey quality. Fantasy V abilities frowny face mouth of relinquish. Secretes vigorous digestive fluid. The digestive fluid is extremely corrosive and can rapidly digest the energy in food. The tongue of relinquish in the mouth can increase the digestion speed by several times and can secrete various acids that have consumed flesh and blood. At the same time, when the three mouths of relinquish tongues of relinquish pierce into the target's body, they can choose to cut off the tongue tip and leave the tongue tip in the target's body. When the target is alive, the tongue tip can control the target's spirit and soul. When the target is dead, the tongue tip can control and activate the target's spirit and soul, allowing the target to live. Carnivorous vine. Hollow vines that contain digestive fluid and sharp teeth inside the vines can consume flesh and blood energy by scraping. Eye of relinquish. Eyes formed by consuming flesh and blood energy. Each eye contains a large amount of flesh and blood energy. When the number of eyes of relinquish on each mouth of relinquish is maintained below 60, the eyes of relinquish can only store energy. When there are more than 60 eyes of relinquish, those that exceed 60 eyes of relinquish will not be stored on the mouth of relinquish and can turn into an energy ray at any time. Flower sea transition. Through rapid consumption of stored energy, the attack power and mobility of the child ramets in the sea of flowers will be multiplied. At the same time, the child ramets' weapons will be specialized, allowing the original functionality of the child ramets' weapons to increase. Demon Spirit Curse. When any child ramets split from the mother ramets touch the enemy target and break through the target's defense, it will curse the target. Each curse will have a random negative effect in the demon's body, and the curse caused by the attack can be stacked multiple times. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Spore Proliferation. The spore cavity spits out a large number of spores. The spores can absorb the energy provided by red thorn or flesh and blood energy to rapidly proliferate and grow child ramets and ramets that are controlled by the mother ramets. Wither Glory. Red thorn can quickly absorb the energy in the ground and inject it into the sea of flowers. As long as there are child ramets and child ramets in the ground, the withered sea of flowers will reach the most prosperous state. After checking, Lin Yuan found that red thorn had transformed from Gold X to Platinum 3. Chapter 1510. Red thorn had undergone a complete metamorphosis previously. The advanced skills and exclusive skills were the same as before, and there were no obvious changes. However, unlike Gold Red Thorn, Platinum Red Thorn had obtained a new ability, Demon Spirit Kill Curse. The Demon Spirit Kill Curse seemed to be very different from Red Thorn's other abilities. Red Thorn's other abilities were derived from its main body. According to the Demon Spirit Kill Curse's description, it was an ability derived from Red Thorn's demon bloodline. The Demon Spirit Kill Curse allowed Red Thorn's child ramets to touch the target and cause damage to the target. It would randomly select one of Red Thorn's negative effects and attach it to the target's body. Furthermore, this effect could be stacked many times. More importantly, these effects that were originally physical or elemental had all become curses. When facing physical and elemental attacks, some powerful lifeforms often had extremely strong resistance. However, the curse did not only target the physical body but also the mind, spirit, and soul. It was extremely difficult to crack. At the same time, the curse could also turn into misfortune under a large accumulation of effects. The misfortune in Zhongzai's body was caused by the multiple stacking effects of the curse. Red Thorn's platinum ability, Demon Spirit Kill Curse, turned Red Thorn's Sea of Flowers into a sea of cursed flowers. Targets that entered the Sea of Flowers would be plagued by misfortune because of the curse. Lin Yuan thought to himself. Right now, Red Thorn would probably be able to stop the Pinnacle Class 3 alien insect dimensional rift by itself. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that if he wanted Red Thorn to improve its strength, he might as well not purchase dimensional lifeform's flesh. When Lu Jie returned, he would let the dimensional lamp moth open a dimensional rift. He would place Red Thorn under the dimensional rift and gorge itself. But soon, Lin Yuan became distressed. The whale ocean trade was destroyed, and he no longer had a way to obtain Gardner Konjac seeds or ramets. When he thought that the Gardner Konjac was a dimensional life form, Lin Yuan's mind stirred. After returning to the mansion with Red Thorn, Lin Yuan stored it in the spiritual spatial zone. Red Thorn's current size was simply too large and was no longer suitable to stay in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan went to the swamp world through the Klein hub and called Bai Yen to ask about the Gardner Konjac. Gardner Konjac was a plant that loved water, and there were not many dimensional rifts that were suitable for it to grow. The temperature of the Abyss world was extremely high, and non-fire type plants could not survive. They would soon be roasted dry. There was no light in the underground world all day long. Most of the plants that lived in the underground world had the ability to emit light. They relied on the light emitted by themselves and their companions to survive. The plants in the water world were all aquatic plants that could not live without water. If they left the water, they would soon rot and stink like the water world dimensional life forms. In comparison, the gardener konjac was only suitable to grow in the swamp dimensional rift and the alien insect dimensional rift. However, most of the plants in the alien insect dimensional rift were fungi that fed on the bodies of insects. These fungi can turn worms into worm stalks. Cordyceps were the special products of the alien insect dimensional rift and possessed extremely potent medicinal properties. No matter how he looked at it, he felt that the gardener konjac was not suitable to survive in the alien insect world. Therefore, among the 5 known dimensional rifts, the swamp world was the only suitable place for gardener konjac to survive. She thought that as a native of the swamp world, Bai Yan should have seen the gardener konjac before. In the end, Bai Yan was very sure that he had never heard of the gardener konjac. This made Lin Yuan feel a little strange. Could there be a 6th dimensional rift that had not been discovered by humans? Since Bai Yan did not know about it, Genius did not have any information about the gardener konjac. Lin Yuan did not bother about the gardener konjac anymore. In any case, he might encounter the gardener konjac again one day. The whale ocean trades matter had been completely settled. It was time for Lin Yuan to increase his strength. In the real world, there were many spirit chi professionals who could not smoothly evolve their myth breed phase because they could not guarantee that they could pass the world cleansing. These people were Lin Yuan's trading partners. Lin Yuan would help their myth breed phase to successfully evolve their phase quality. But he would also take away the world grace that would descend after the phase passed the world cleansing. Just as Lin Yuan was contacting these people to come to the royal capital, Night Leaning Moon, who had just sent Lu Jie to contract the insect-type carcinoma Fei, was leaning over the table. She was dipping a pen in the golden juice and writing something seriously. Night Leaning Moon understood why Lu Jie was anxious to increase his strength at this juncture. At this moment, Lu Jie was really similar to her in the past. Night Leaning Moon had already communicated with Mystic Moon about the whale ocean trade situation. This was because Mystic Moon was upgrading the star web with the other 2 Her Eminences, and the Moon Empress was in seclusion. As a participant in the entire incident, Night Leaning Moon naturally wrote the report on the entire incident. When writing the report, Night Leaning Moon deliberated for a long time. In the end, she decided to conceal the news of Lin Yuan using the 6-winged demon to activate Di Wanmi's corpse and turn it into a creation master puppet. A Class 5 creation master puppet that could be controlled was undoubtedly more tempting than a living Class 5 creation master. The Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had signed a 2-year agreement. Although there was no official declaration of war, the 2 major federations had already entered an emergency state of war. In addition, the Pagoda Cannon's people had infiltrated the Radiance Federation and colluded with one of the 3 major factions, the Whale Ocean Trade, for so many years before being discovered. Therefore, not revealing some information was the best way to protect oneself. The Moon Empress, Chef Supreme, and Bamboo Monarch were 3 Class 5 creation masters, and they were all current experts that no one could control. However, a Class 5 creation master puppet could be indirectly controlled through Lin Yuan's control. The other fellows must have received the news and understood the Whale Ocean Trade's conspiracy. The Imperial Court Conference should be starting again. Recently, the Imperial Court Conference has been rather frequent. At the thought of this, Night Leaning Moon suddenly realized something. It seemed that the frequent Imperial Court Conferences that had been held for the past half a year were all related to Lin Yuan. What kind of disciple did the Moon Empress accept? Lin Yuan made an appointment with those Emperor-class experts, and asked those King-class experts to gather in the royal capital. He worked hard to enhance phase while collecting the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha that had just matured in the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He then fed the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha to Genius. Lin Yuan realized that after Genius ate the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha, its spiritual energy had a significant increase. In less than 2 days, it had transformed from Fantasy I to Fantasy II. When Lin Yuan was nurturing the Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha, he had used its spores. This allowed Lin Yuan to harvest a large number of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha in one go. Chapter 15:12. Lin Yuan reckoned that after Genius finished eating this wave of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha, its quality would at least reach Fantasy 4. As long as it nurtured another wave of Spirit Wisdom Purple Zoisha, Genius should be able to enter the Fantasy V door. Xueqi had been living in the phoenix-perching Chinese parasol tree's nest. It had never stopped absorbing the energy from the heavenly flames to temper its bloodline. A month ago, Lin Yuan had already started to let Xueqi absorb high-grade heavenly flames. Now, Xueqi's quality had evolved from Fantasy 3 to Fantasy 4. After transforming into the Fantasy 4, Xueqi's appearance had undergone some slight changes. Presumably, when Genius and Xueqi advanced to Fantasy V, their bloodlines would complete a complete evolution. Sun Ningxiang hadn't been idle during this period. While helping Lin Yuan promote the Warm Sun Fund, Sun Ningxiang helped Lin Yuan select a large batch of spirit chi professionals and ordinary people who were willing to enter seclusion. Lin Yuan transferred a large number of people selected by Sun Ningxiang into the swamp world. He handed them over to Lu Tong for him to make arrangements. When those creation masters who had made appointments with Lin Yuan arrived at the royal capital, Lin Yuan called the Mother of Bloodbath. They met up in the outskirts of the royal capital with these emperor-class experts. Before coming, the Mother of Bloodbath and Lin Yuan had put on faceless paper. As a Myth 3 Heaven and Earth Fae, the Mother of Bloodbath's combat strength was comparable to a creation breed Fae. If the Mother of Bloodbath used its favored spirit bloodline to activate the power of the sun and control the power of the sun to fight, the Mother of Bloodbath could completely break through the limits of its realm and fight with Faes of the second or even the third lineage of creation. Therefore, even if the Mother of Bloodbath was only a suzerain/Myth 3 Fae, it was more than enough to help these Emperor-class experts Faes survive the world cleansing. For the entire day, Lin Yuan and the Mother of Bloodbath stayed in the outskirts of the royal capital. The Mother of Bloodbath fought the world cleansing head-on, while Lin Yuan quietly opened the Pure Land of Bliss underground to absorb the world grace. The Pure Land of Bliss only absorbed 10% of the world cleansing. After absorbing 10%, it could no longer absorb anymore. Therefore, these myth breed Faes that had a breakthrough in quality did not suffer much loss. Throughout the day, the Pure Land of Bliss in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone had been gushing out large amounts of spirit chi crystals. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone was extremely busy. The Wind Speed Rapid Antelope carefully picked up the spirit chi crystals from the Pure Land of Bliss and piled them at a special spot. The hill of spirit crystals was already taller than the Wind Speed Rapid Antelope. After returning to the returning manor, he returned to the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. He was prepared to use these spirit chi crystals to enhance his phase. Lin Yuan placed the jasmine lily on the nurturing table in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. Then, he summoned Zixiao from the Swamp World and Little Black from the Hidden Dragon Lake. He asked Little Black to camouflage until it was 1 meter long. He looked at Genius, Xueqi, Jasmine Lily, Purple Firmament, Blackie, and the Soul Remembrance Whale. Lin Yuan shook his sleeve and released the Sorsan's main body. Lin Yuan said seriously, "Next, I will strengthen all of you and raise your levels to Diamond Rank Level 10. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Genius and Xueqi were the first to respond. One jumped onto Lin Yuan's shoulder, while the other landed on Lin Yuan's ear and intimately rubbed its small face against Lin Yuan's ear. Immediately after, the Soul Remembrance Whale and Purple Firmament responded. Little Black and the Source Sand were the last to respond to Lin Yuan. As for the Jasmine Lily, Lin Yuan had to personally carry it over if he wanted to hold a meeting for his Faes. As a Platinum/Fantasy breed plant Fae, Lin Yuan did not expect it to have high intelligence. However, when he saw the Soul Remembrance Whale happily circling around him, Lin Yuan felt a little awkward. He reached out to touch the Soul Remembrance Whale's head and said, "You haven't become a fantasy breed yet. You haven't become a fantasy breed yet, so you can only listen." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Soul Remembrance Whale did not have a trace of disappointment. It seemed that as long as it could stay by Lin Yuan's side, the Soul Remembrance Whale was already very happy. Of course, Lin Yuan did not just have these Faes. Red Thorn, Silver Splendor, Zither, Gold Wing, Blue Sky, the Floating Island Whale, Grey, and the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee were considered Lin Yuan's Faes. Lin Yuan had already raised the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's grade to Diamond X/Legend. However, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee had yet to obtain a willpower rune from the natural world. As for Red Thorn and Silver Splendor, if they wanted to increase their strength, one needed flesh energy, while the other needed soul energy. These were not things that spirit chi crystals could provide. The Zither was Lin Yuan's wealth password. Every time the Zither's grade increased, its quality would also increase. They all symbolized a golden lotus brocade's renewal. Therefore, unless it was necessary, Lin Yuan would not easily raise the grade of the zither. Gold Wing was a Desolation bloodline fae and needed dragon liver and phoenix blood. Blue Sky and the floating island whale both needed pure water element energy. As for Gray, it needed to absorb all kinds of auras to raise its grade and quality. Therefore, these little fellows' grade increase was not within the scope of the Spirit Chi Crystal's ability. Therefore, Lin Yuan did not call them over. Lin Yuan first raised the grade of Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament, which were spirit-locked fays. With the consumption of a massive amount of Spirit Chi Crystals, Little Black, the Jasmine Lily, and the Purple Firmament's grades were all raised to Diamond X. However, the Purple Firmament and Little Black were Fantasy I, while the Jasmine Lily was Fantasy 3. If Little Black wanted to raise its grade, the best way was to absorb the essence blood of a pure blood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fae. Such things were extremely rare, but the Coiling Dragon Valley should have a reserve. Lin Yuan had heard Long Tao mention that the race's main dragon species fae would specially separate a drop of essence blood every 10 years. It was the Coiling Dragon Valley's resource reserve. The Coiling Dragon Valley had always been lacking in the number of Emperor-class experts, and could not compare to the Beast Creation Garden. This was because it was indeed more difficult for dragon species fays to raise their grade than other fays. Lin Yuan could use the law crystals to exchange for the essence blood of a pure blood flood dragon that had transformed into a main dragon species fae, even without Long Tao. Long Tao was his good brother, so Lin Yuan did not mind helping the Coiling Dragon Valley to raise its top combat power. The Jasmine Lily had previously used the Sea Burial Crystal condensed by the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body to raise its grade. Now, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower had transformed into a fairy fae, Silver Splendor. The energy core had also turned from the Sea Burial Crystal into Silver Splendor. However, the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body, which Lin Yuan had planted beside the spirit pool, could still absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Even if the Sea Burial Crystal was removed, it would not cause the slightest harm to Silver Splendor. Chapter 15:13. The Sea Burial Crystal condensed at the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's roots was much larger than what Lin Yuan had fed to the Jasmine Lily. Lin Yuan pulled off this Sea Burial Crystal and planted the Sea Burial Lotus Flower's main body next to the spirit pool. He let it continue to absorb spirit chi and condense the Sea Burial Crystal. Lin Yuan placed this Sea Burial Crystal on the Jasmine Lily's leaf and let it absorb it. With the consumption of the Sea Burial Crystal, the Jasmine Lily's quality had increased from Fantasy 3 to Fantasy V. Now, Lin Yuan finally had a Diamond X/Fantasy V fae. Improving the Jasmine Lily's quality was originally a delightful thing. However, at the thought of the Purple Cloud's quality improvement, Lin Yuan could not help but have a headache. The Purple Cloud's body had the bloodlines of the Purple Cloud Beauty Butterfly and the Slaughter Sky Butterfly, two supreme butterfly species fays. If he wanted to improve the Purple Cloud's quality, he could collect some of the Blue Flash Butterfly's butterfly wing scale powder. He could let the Purple Cloud absorb these scale powder. However, this was not the best way to improve the Purple Cloud's quality, and it was not in line with Lin Yuan's goal of enhancing fays. If he wanted the Purple Cloud to improve its quality in the best way, he needed to find a fae called the Nirvana Butterfly. He had to collect the Nirvana Butterfly's butterfly wings butterfly powder for the Purple Cloud to absorb. However, Lin Yuan did not know where to find the Nirvana Butterfly. Previously, Lin Yuan had asked the Brahma insect cage if it still had one slaughterworm in reserve, and it had said that if he needed it, it could give him another slaughterworm. However, the Brahma insect cage could not take out a Nirvana Butterfly. The Nirvana Butterfly was actually not a general species fae, but it had suddenly mutated. Any butterfly species fae had a chance of transforming into the Nirvana Butterfly through a sudden mutation. However, the probability was too low. There were clear records of the Nirvana Butterfly, unlike the Purple Cloud Beauty Butterfly that only existed in legends. However, there were only two Nirvana Butterflies in history. These two Nirvana Butterflies had eventually turned into ashes in the endless mutation. They had failed to break the Nirvana Butterfly's fate and break through to some unknown butterfly fae's bloodline. Since he could not find the Nirvana Butterfly, Lin Yuan did not want to force the Purple Cloud to improve its quality. In any case, Purple Heaven's current rank had been raised to Diamond X/Fantasy I. In battle, it could play an effective role in control. The scale powder was enough to make those fays that relied on elemental combat to become autistic. As they were spirit-locked fays, Blackie, Jasmine Lily, and purple firmament didn't obtain any new abilities. Lin Yuan sighed in his heart. He had nurtured these little fellas so meticulously. If these little fellas had platinum or diamond skills, they would definitely be very powerful. As Morbius' grade increased, he wondered if he would be able to see the day when a Spirit Lock phase high-grade ability would appear. After enhancing the Jasmine Lily, Blackie, and Purple Heaven, he was prepared to enhance Genius and Chimey. Genius was currently at Diamond I/Fantasy 2. Chimey was now Platinum 3/Fantasy 3. As usual, a large number of spirit crystals were poured in, and Genius and Chimey were upgraded to Diamond level 10. He was different from Genius. Genius was already Diamond rank level 1. Thus, even though Lin Yuan had invested a huge amount of spirit chi crystals, Genius didn't obtain any new abilities. Chimey was previously at the Platinum level, but it was now at the Diamond level. After reaching the Diamond level, Chimey would obtain a new ability. Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius' ability, True Data, to investigate Chimey. Fey name, Clear Sound Luan, Fey species, Plume Finch/Luan bird, Fey grade. Diamond, 10 out of 10. Fey type, Sound/Light, Fey quality. Fantasy Eye abilities Frowny Face Jade Shattering Sound. Shoot out a huge sound note with the sound of jade shattering at a designated target. The sound of jade shattering has a certain interference effect. At the same time, after the huge sound note is attacked, it will shatter into 10 spiral-shaped sound thorns. Bathe light. Bathe the body in clear sunlight. The sunlight can quickly recover the consumed vitality. Sunlight ray. Emit all kinds of rays from the sun. The rays will cause negative weakening to the target. At the same time, the sunlight ray can increase the plant phase vitality when shining on it. Absolute Nirvana light. Retain only a trace of vitality in the body and seal it in the sun wheel of the wings. The rest of the vitality will be burned into sunlight energy. Before the sunlight energy in the vitality disappears, it will be immune to most physical and elemental damage. Clear Zither Sound. Anchor an object that can release light-type energy. When controlling this object or being accepted by this object, one can project one's voice or sound-type ability onto this object and use this object as a base to spread in all directions. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Clear Sky. After a clear bird's cry, the clouds will disperse, and the sun will be summoned. The sky will be clear, and the darkness will disperse. Radiant Body. Rapidly absorb the sun's power. A large amount of sun energy will gather in the body to form the radiant body. At a glance, Lin Yuan realized that Chimey's diamond ability was called Clear Zither Sound. This ability is quite interesting. Just anchoring an object that can release light-type energy is worth Lin Yuan's deep thought. There were many objects that could release light-type energy, such as a metal spiritual ingredient or an extraordinary flame that could emit light. Most light-type phase could release light-type energy. In the entire world, the one that released the most light-type energy was the eternal sun in the sky. Chimey's Clear Zither Sound could control the extraordinary flame and the metal spiritual ingredient that could emit light. It was the same as having a mobile microphone. Apart from being able to control this object, Chimey could also let this object accept itself. When it was accepted by this object, Chimey could also project its sound-type ability onto this object. It would then use this object as a base to spread out. Could Chimey use the anchored object as the sun? If Chimey could set the anchored object as the sun, when Chimey used Clear Zither Sound, wouldn't the entire world be able to hear Chimey's voice? Wouldn't Chimey become a national idol that could transmit its voice to everyone's ears? A gold medal songstress that used the sun as a microphone. Of course, it wasn't a simple matter to anchor the sun. Even if Chimey could become immortal one day, it still wouldn't be able to rely on its own strength to control the sun. At the same time, through communicating with Chimey, Lin Yuan understood that when Chimey used Clear Zither Sound, the area that its voice could spread to was also limited. However, the more powerful the anchored object, the more light-type energy it contained. Chimey's voice would also spread further. Chapter 15:14. In order to test the specific effect of Clear Harp voice transformation, he took out a piece of bronze floating light aluminum. He got Chimey to use its Clear Harp transformation skill to control the floating light aluminum. Soon, Chimey chose the floating light aluminum as its anchor target. In order to test Chimey's ability, he had deliberately left the Spirit Lock spatial zone. He was randomly teleported to the outskirts of the capital. He found that after controlling the floating light aluminum, it was like a loudspeaker when Chimey sang. Chimy's voice was continuously transmitted to the surroundings. The sound released by floating light aluminum wasn't much different from Chimy's. However, the floating light aluminum's sound conductivity was much further than Chimy's. From the original range of a few hundred meters to 3 kilometers. Lin Yuan continued to experiment and took out a ball of high-grade exceptional flame. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard Chimy's voice. Lin Yuan, compared to controlling this high-grade strange flame, it should be easier to make it acknowledge Chimy. With that said, Chimy flapped its wings and approached the high-grade twilight cold fire. Chimy used the light elements it released to communicate with the light elements released by the high-grade twilight cold fire. Soon, the twilight cold fire became Chimy's anchor. After getting the twilight cold fire to acknowledge Chimy, Lin Yuan understood. Anchoring an object would consume Chimy's light elemental energy. In order for an object to acknowledge Chimy, Chimy could consume the light energy contained in the object. After experimenting, Chimy obtained the recognition of the high-grade strange flame, twilight cold fire, and used it as a speaker. Chimy's voice could travel as far as 50 kilometers. From this, it could be seen that anchored objects had a strong correlation with transmission ability. When he thought of how Chimy could use this anchored object as a base, he realized that Chimy could release its sound-type skills. Chimy's only sound-type skill was the normal grade skill, Shattering Jade Sound. Lin Yuan immediately ordered Chimy. Chimy, use this ball of twilight cold fire to launch a Shattering Jade Sound to the furthest limit. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, it let out a soft cry. Finally, through Lin Yuan's observation, he found that at a position of 25 kilometers, there was a huge mountain range. Traces of being attacked by the sound of broken jade appeared. He then asked Chimy to use broken jade sound to the side and found that the depth of the traces was basically the same. This meant that the power of an attack released through an anchor was not any weaker than the power of a skill released by oneself. After Chimy executed the Shattering Jade Sound, the Twilight Cold Fire's flame was clearly weaker. This meant that Chimy's broken jade sound had consumed a portion of the Twilight Cold Fire's light elemental energy. This discovery made Lin Yuan increasingly feel that Chimy should regard the anchored object as the sun. If it was another Fae, even if its light element talent was much stronger than Chimy, it would still be hard to obtain the sun's recognition. However, he had the Mother of Bloodbath by his side. The Mother of Bloodbath had the bloodline of the Polaris Sun Spider and was the favored child of the sun. It could directly communicate with the sun. With the Mother of Bloodbath's help, Chimy was very likely to obtain the sun's recognition and complete its anchoring. The light energy in the sun was endless. Using the sun as a base, the distance it could travel was not as simple as hundreds or thousands of miles. However, before advancing to a myth breed, Chimy wanted to obtain the sun's recognition through its harp transformation skill. It was still too early. The appearance of clear zither sound allowed Lin Yuan to see Chimy's infinite possibilities. With the sun as an anchor, when Chimy used its ability, it would look almost no different from a celestial phenomenon. Controlling celestial phenomena was an ability that only 10-star sacred source lifeforms possessed, apart from the favored spirits. As a Fae, Chimy was very likely to be able to do this. Currently, Chimy only had one sound-type ability, Broken Jade Sound. As Chimy's strength increased and its sound-type bloodline was constantly strengthened, new sound-type abilities would always appear. However, even if it only had one ability, Broken Jade Sound, with the sun as an anchor, it was already strong enough. Chimy's Broken Jade Sound used the sun as a muzzle and was fired at everything. As long as the sun's light elemental energy did not dry up, Chimy's Broken Jade Sound would be endless. Lin Yuan had to admit that Chimy's advancement to Diamond had brought him a huge surprise. Next, he just had to wait for Genius and Chimy to evolve to Fantasy V. Genius and Chimy would then be able to obtain a brand new metamorphosis before becoming myth breeds. Lin Yuan was looking forward to this day's arrival. The Source Sand was previously at Diamond I. When Lin Yuan's Source Sand reached Diamond X, the Source Sand's Guard Sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Lin Yuan realized that the Source Sand's Guard Sand had increased by nearly 100 times. Now, as long as Lin Yuan wanted to, the Guard Sand could cover a 1-kilometer radius around him. Moreover, he could control these Guard Sand like his own arms. He could make any exquisite changes with his thoughts. Immediately after, Lin Yuan urged the Source Sand. The ground that was covered by yellow sand collapsed, and the sand body traveled underground. The area within 10 kilometers immediately turned into a purgatory of sand. Moreover, The sand was constantly expanding its territory. In less than a minute, Lin Yuan had created a sea of sand within 30 kilometers. Lin Yuan controlled these guard sand, and they changed their shapes under his control. Suddenly, an idea flashed in Lin Yuan's mind. Immediately after, the sand body under Lin Yuan's feet surged, and a 3-meter-tall, 2-meter-long sandhouse appeared in the center of the quicksand vortex. In this small sandhouse formed by the guard sand, Lin Yuan was wantonly moving his body around. After Lin Yuan's control, the small sandhouse's interior was very exquisitely carved. Using the guard sand to form a small sandhouse was far from Lin Yuan's limit. As a large number of guard sand gathered toward the small sandhouse became bigger and bigger. Finally, it formed a 30-meter-tall, 20-meter-long, and 20-meter-wide castle. After this castle was formed, the guard sand's activities were far from stopping. The source sand's exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, devoured a total of 3 types of metal. These 3 types of metal were also designated into 3 forms. These 3 types of metal and 3 forms were chain swords made of radium uranium steel, feathers made of day and night spirit silver, and triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold. The guard sand precipitated a large number of these 3 types of metal into their designated forms. Chain swords made of radium uranium steel were built in the castle like bones. These chain swords built in the castle could be launched out of the castle at the fastest speed at any time. The day and night spirit silver turned into feathers and attached to the castle's surface. The day and night spirit silver's powerful defensive ability and hardness increased the castle's defense. From time to time, the day and night spirit silver would fall from the castle and separate. A defensive zone was formed around the castle. The triangular lines made of red lotus soft gold moved back and forth in the land around the castle like spirit snakes. Chapter 15:15. Lin Yuan had chosen the liquid metal, the red lotus soft gold, because it had an extremely strong ductility. Once spirit chi was channeled into it, the liquid red lotus soft gold could instantly turn into a needle with extremely strong piercing performance. This triangular line formed by the red lotus soft gold could completely replace the heart-penetrating iron line, an alien insect that was accepted by the exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Immediately after, the castle changed again. A large number of gears formed by the guard sand began to densely cover the interior of the castle. By channeling spirit chi, the density of the guard sand would change. A small amount of spirit chi was channeled into the castle, allowing the guard sand to turn into gears. It could allow the castle to move quickly in the sea of sand. Immediately after, the sand-formed castle stretched out its legs and hands like a giant. The castle giant's legs and hands were embedded with chain swords made of radium uranium steel. In his previous life, Lin Yuan had seen an anime called Howl's Moving Castle. Now, Lin Yuan had also built his moving castle through the source sand. As an elemental source-type life form, Lin Yuan had always focused on its group ability in nurturing it. But now, through the guard sand and the exclusive skill, Metal Consume Manifestation, it had transformed into these metal spiritual materials. This allowed the source sand to become a standing attacking giant in the sea of sand. In this way, it was enough to maximize the source sand's offensive power. After experimenting with the evolved source sand's abilities, Lin Yuan felt that it should be on the agenda to choose a suitable fey or dimensional life form for the source sand's exclusive skill, Sand Spirit Acceptance. Because the source sand swallow metal had transformed into the red lotus soft gold, the red lotus soft gold turned into a triangular shape. Lin Yuan had already eliminated the heart-penetrating iron line. Lin Yuan was never picky about the choice of Sand Spirit Acceptance. Strengthening his defense and controlling the sea of sand were all within Lin Yuan's choice. As for offensive power, Lin Yuan thought about it and let it go. Now, Lin Yuan's attack mainly relied on Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, and Princess Sacred Sword Mode sword skill. No matter how strong the Source Sand Sand Grain Spirit Acceptance Fey was, a Diamond X/Fantasy 3 Source Sand could not compare to the power of a sword technique. Therefore, strengthening the Source Sand's offensive power was equivalent to wasting its talent to some extent. As for improving the Source Sand's quality, it was not difficult for him now. The mountain-containing embryo might be rare, but compared to the essence blood of a main dragon species Fey or the spirit wisdom purple Zoisha, it was much more valuable. In terms of rarity, it was still a level lower. As long as he posted a bounty of 100 Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearls on Star Web, he would be able to receive the mountain-containing embryo. He let out a sigh of relief after upgrading all his phase to Diamond X by relying on Spirit Chi crystals. Previously, Lin Yuan's Fey grade had always been lower than the Radiant Sect's younger generation's vanguard. Zhongzhe, Gulang, and he, and Lu Jie's phase had all reached Diamond X/Fantasy V. As for Lin Yuan, only a few of his phase had reached Diamond I. Now, Lin Yuan had caught up. In terms of phase, there was no longer any difference between Lin Yuan and Radiance's younger generation vanguard. As for quality, he was confident that he could raise Chimey, Genius, Source Sand, and Blackie's quality to Fantasy V. Only the Purple Firmament did not have a good solution because Lin Yuan could not find the Nirvana Obsidian Butterfly. Next, he was going to make a trip to the Coiled Dragon Valley to obtain the Essence Blood from the Long family to help Blackie evolve from a pure-blooded WYRM species to a main dragon species Fey. He took out his cell phone and dialed Long Tao's number. When chatting in the group last night, Long Tao said that he would personally oversee the Abyss in 2 days and manage the operations of the organization. Moreover, by fighting the abyssal demons, he would be able to hone his combat skills. If Lin Yuan did not look for Long Tao these few days and waited for Long Tao to enter the Abyss world, he would not be able to find Long Tao. If he wanted to find Long Tao, he would have to wait for him to return from the Abyss world. Soon, Long Tao picked up the phone. Lin Yuan said to Long Tao, "Brother Long, are you still in the old house in the Coiling Dragon Valley?" Upon hearing that, Long Tao hurriedly replied, knowing that Lin Yuan had something to talk to him about. "Brother Lin, I'm at the old house in Coiling Dragon Valley right now. Do you want me to find you there?" Long Tao thought that Lin Yuan wanted him to retrieve the Golden Lotus brocade stock. But today wasn't the appointed time. Lin Yuan had already provided the previous batch of Golden Lotus brocade stocks to the Coiling Dragon Valley. The next batch of Golden Lotus brocade stocks should be delivered next week. Long Tao was grateful to Lin Yuan from the bottom of his heart. Out of kinship, Lin Yuan had helped his father's Fey with damaged roots break through to Myth 3. Out of friendship, Lin Yuan had helped him too much. Lin Yuan had pulled him together to form a faction and develop the Abyss world. It was the same as giving him a bright future. Otherwise, even if Long Tao was the Coiling Dragon Valley's young family head and the Radiance 100 Sequences number 3, he wouldn't be able to fight his way into the circle of His Holiness disciples. Out of the Coiling Dragon Valley, Lin Yuan had provided the Coiling Dragon Valley with Golden Lotus brocade stocks, increasing the overall Coiling Dragon Valley's creation master resources by 30%. While this allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to develop faster, it also allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to harvest more resources. It raised the Coiling Dragon Valley's status among the top factions. It allowed the Coiling Dragon Valley to have a chance of reaching the top 5 this year. This was all Lin Yuan's help to him and the Coiling Dragon Valley. Therefore, whenever there was something, Long Tao would think of doing something to repay Lin Yuan. At that moment, Long Tao heard Lin Yuan continue speaking. "Big Brother Long, there's no need for that. I want to discuss a deal with the Coiling Dragon Valley in the Coiling Dragon Valley. I need you to be the middleman." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tao immediately knew that Lin Yuan wasn't coming to the Coiling Dragon Valley as the Moon Empress disciple. Instead, he was coming as a friend. Otherwise, there was no need for Lin Yuan to inform him in advance. As long as he sent a notice to the Coiling Dragon Valley, his father and the Coiling Dragon Valley's elders would have to wait for Lin Yuan's arrival. Even if his grandfather was in seclusion and was preparing to become immortal. But even so, when Lin Yuan really arrived, he would not be able to do anything. His grandfather would have to come out of seclusion and greet Lin Yuan to show respect. Lin Yuan wanted him to be the middleman to show that they were true brothers. On the other hand, it was also to show respect for the Coiling Dragon Valley. Long Tao quickly said, "Brother Lin, what deal do you want to make? Just say it. I'll go inform them and prepare it for you before you come." Lin Yuan didn't hide anything and said, "Big Brother Long, the Coiling Dragon Valley should have pure-blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species, right? I want some pure-blood flood dragon species phase that can evolve into main dragon species." Chapter 15-16. Long Tao's heart skipped a beat. The Coiling Dragon Valley did have such a Fey that could evolve from a flood dragon to a main dragon species. However, this Fey was his grandfather's main Fey. It was now a Class 10 Monarch and a Class 8 Creation Calamity. It was charging toward immortal. The few drops of essence blood that Lin Yuan needed in the family were the main dragon species phase. In order for his grandfather's main fey to break through, it had been absorbed by his grandfather's main fey. If he wanted such essence blood now, he could only let his grandfather's main fey condense it. Once his grandfather's strength reached immortal, the coiling Dragon Valley's position among the top factions would change drastically. The Whale Ocean trade was blocked by the spirit guards. No one knew what was happening inside. However, according to the spirit guards, the Whale Ocean trade had been removed from the Radiance faction list. Once his grandfather reached immortal, the coiling Dragon Valley would have the ability to fill the gap in the top 3 factions. However, Long Tao could not refuse Lin Yuan's request. The entire coiling Dragon Valley could not refuse either. The Long family owed Lin Yuan too much. Long Tao said, "I will let the family prepare in advance. When Brother Lin comes, just take it away." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan replied, "Big Brother Long, I will go to the coiling Dragon Valley now. As for the deal, we will discuss it when I arrive." With that, Lin Yuan hung up the phone. When Lin Yuan arrived at the coiling Dragon Valley mansion on Little Black, he found Long Tao and all the coiling Dragon Valley's direct descendants waiting for him at the door. Long Tao stood in the middle of the group. On Long Tao's left stood the Long family head, Long Tuesday. On the right stood an old man with white hair and beard. Lin Yuan could clearly feel the old man's gaze on him. It was filled with complicated emotions. At the same time, he was sincerely welcoming Lin Yuan. When these people saw Lin Yuan jump off Little Black's back, they were preparing to greet him. At that moment, Long Tu and Long Du saw Lin Yuan bow to them as a junior. Then, he walked to Long Tao's side and said with a reproachful tone, "Big Brother Long, why are you so polite?" Lin Yuan's tone was very sincere, and it warmed Long Tao's heart. This also deepened Long Tu's impression of Lin Yuan, who had previously understood him, and Long Du, who had never come into contact with him. He was not arrogant or rash and treated everyone with courtesy. The more talented a person was, the more arrogant they were. Long Tu, Long Tao, and Long Du were all born with a silver spoon in their mouths. From the moment they were born, they carried the unique arrogance of geniuses. Long Du and Long Tu asked themselves if they could reach such a level of courtesy. Naturally, Long Tao couldn't reach it. Before coming to welcome Lin Yuan, Long Du had understood the situation and pondered for a moment. He resolutely gave up on the rare opportunity for his Creation Peak stage main battle spirit, the weak Water Ice Jade Jiao, to become an immortal. The Water Ice Jade Jiao mobilized all of its chi and blood, trying its best to condense 5 drops of blood essence. As a weak Water Ice Jade Dragon at the peak of creation stage, it only had around 12 or 13 drops of blood essence in its entire body. The condensation of 5 drops of essence blood was equivalent to the rudimentary Water Ice Jade Jiao, suffering an extremely serious injury. If he wanted to let the rudimentary Ice Jade Jiao recover, he would probably need to use elemental pearls that contained pure water elements to nourish it for several years. As the Long family's former head, Long Du was willing to give up his own benefits in order to repay Lin Yuan. However, he still felt a little uncomfortable. Now that he saw Lin Yuan's courteous attitude, Long Du's uncomfortable feeling dissipated a little. When Long Du saw the black flood dragon under Lin Yuan, he was secretly shocked. As a pinnacle class 4 creation master, Long Du recognized this black flood dragon as the spirit-tied black flood dragon. It was a fey that had evolved from a butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish. Long Du couldn't imagine how much pure spirit chi had been supplied. That was why a small butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish could undergo such atavism when its dragon species bloodline was stimulated. It was obvious that Lin Yuan had come to ask for the essence blood to improve the spirit-tied black flood dragon's quality. Otherwise, Lin Yuan wouldn't have needed to specifically ask for the essence blood of a pure-blooded flood dragon to a main dragon species fey. When Long Tao heard Lin Yuan's words, he didn't regard himself as an outsider and smiled. "This is your first time coming to our coiled Dragon Valley's old mansion. The next time you come, there won't be so many people to welcome you." After returning to the main mansion with the Long family, Long Du took out 5 test tubes made of amethyst. Each of the 5 test tubes contained a drop of sparkling purplish gold blood. This drop of purplish gold blood was condensed with dragon chi, which would fly out from time to time. It was as though once the bottle was opened, this drop of dragon blood would transform into a dragon and fly out. "Lord Lin Yuan, this is the essence blood you want. If it isn't enough, my Long family can give you another 3 drops." When speaking, Long Du had a resolute expression. However, Long Tao and Long Tu looked at Long Du with worried expressions. If the weak water ice jade flood dragon condensed another 3 drops of essence blood, it would fall into a near-death state, and its roots might be injured. If it continued to be nurtured, it wouldn't be something that could be solved with elemental pearls and a few years of effort. After receiving the amethyst test tubes from Long Tu, Lin Yuan said, 5 drops are enough. I previously agreed to carry out a transaction with Big Brother Long. I wonder if, before Lin Yuan could finish speaking, Long Tu said, Lord Lin Yuan, my Long family is indebted to you. Lord Lin Yuan's kindness to our Long family is as heavy as a mountain. He allowed our Long family to leap from a top-notch faction to the top 10 in just a few months. What transaction is Lord Lin Yuan discussing with the Long family? If you need the essence blood, just take it. In fact, the Long family could tell Lin Yuan about Long Tu's situation. This would undoubtedly win Lin Yuan's favor. Long Tao wouldn't do this, and Long Tu and Long Du naturally wouldn't choose to do so either. After all, Long Du's final choice was to repay the kindness, not to seek repayment. Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan shook his head seriously. Uncle Long, that's a different matter. How many pinnacle emperor-class experts does the Long family have now? Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Tu, Long Du, and Long Tao held their breaths. The 3 of them knew that Lin Yuan had law crystals. The Long family had previously traded with Lin Yuan, allowing Long Tu's Fei to smoothly evolve to Myth 3. Now that Lin Yuan was asking how many pinnacle emperor-class experts the Long family had, it was obvious that he wanted to trade law crystals. In exchange for the Long family's essence blood. Each emperor-class expert was an extremely precious treasure to a top-notch faction. When emperor-class experts were sent to various major cities, they could oversee the major cities and open up business. Even if emperor-class experts were sent to sweep through dimensional rifts, they could obtain massive amounts of resources every year. Moreover, when the various top-notch factions reached a strategic cooperation, generally, each top-notch faction would send an emperor-class expert to supervise the cooperation process. Chapter 15-17. If one side did not send out an emperor-level expert, even if that side put in more effort in other aspects, they would not be able to defeat the other side. They would still appear to be relatively weak in the cooperation. Due to the difficulty of evolving dragon species phase, the number of emperor-class experts had always been the Long family's shortcoming. Now, Lin Yuan wanted to use the law crystal to trade with the Long family. Long Tu and Long Du couldn't refuse at all. Just as Long Tao was about to insist on giving the essence blood to Lin Yuan continued to speak. I believe the Long clan should have heard the news about the Whale Ocean trade. Now, there are vacancies among the Radiance's top 3 factions. We need a faction that can compete with the Rhine life form and the Brahma insect cage to fill this position. As a creation master faction, the Long family is very suitable to replace the Whale Ocean trade and fill this gap. I can raise the strength of the Long family's peak Emperor stage experts to the Overlord stage. After saying that, Lin Yuan took out a brocade pouch. There were 100 law crystals in the pouch. Upon hearing that, Long Tu and Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with excitement in their eyes. The Coiled Dragon Valley might not have a lot of Emperor-class experts, but it was a pinnacle faction that relied on creation masters. A large number of Class 4 Creation Master resources could easily push an Emperor-class expert to the pinnacle of the Emperor class. The number of peak martial emperors in the Coiling Dragon Valley far exceeded that of the other forces. It was because of this that the Coiling Dragon Valley had not many Emperor-level experts. They would still be able to occupy a place among the top forces and take the lead. Upon seeing Long Tao's hesitant expression, Lin Yuan said softly, "That's right. If it weren't for my relationship with Big Brother Dragon, I definitely wouldn't have taken something like the law crystal out." Upon hearing that, Long Tao did not know what to say for a moment. This time, the Long family wanted to return a favor to Lin Yuan. However, he had not expected Lin Yuan to give the Long family an even bigger favor in return. Long Tu and Long Du were overjoyed, but at the same time, they began to ponder. With Long Tu and Long Du's experience, they wouldn't think about things as simply as Long Tao. Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple and the champion of both the civil and martial arena. There was no reason not to fight for the position of Radiance Envoy. If the Coiling Dragon Valley was really pushed to the position of one of the top 3 forces, then, when Lin Yuan ran for the Radiance 100 sequence, the Long family would be able to help. After all, the higher the ranking of the top forces, the more votes they had. Even though the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch for so many years, the Coiling Dragon Valley had always wanted to rely on the Bamboo Monarch. But there wasn't much progress. Ever since the Bamboo Monarch had been plagued by misfortune because of Wang Fuxiang, the Coiling Dragon Valley had formed a connection with Lin Yuan. After that, he never came into contact with Purple Bamboo Garden again. Originally, Long Tu and Long Du felt that forming a relationship with Lin Yuan was equivalent to forming a relationship with the Radiant Moon Palace's Moon Empress. However, it now seemed that Lin Yuan was a big tree that the Long family could rely on. The Long family should place all their bets on Lin Yuan for the sake of love and profit. Long Tu, who understood, said to Lin Yuan, "Our Coiling Dragon Valley currently has 31 peak-level Emperor stage experts. 7 of them are still a bit short of that level. But he has also reached the standard that other forces have for peak Emperor-level experts." Hearing Long Tu's words, Lin Yuan was secretly surprised. The number of Emperor-level experts in the Coiling Dragon Valley was actually close to double that of the Beast Creation Garden. This was enough to show why the Coiled Dragon Valley was able to crush the Beast Creation Garden in the competition. Lin Yuan said, "Then, Uncle Long, please call all the peak-level Emperor stage experts that are still in the old mansion. Let's go to the outskirts of the royal capital and choose a place to break through together." Hearing that, Long Tu quickly turned around and followed Lin Yuan's instructions. He called all the 17 peak-level Emperor stage experts that were currently in the old mansion in the royal capital over. They went all the way to an empty space in the outskirts of the royal capital. With the provision of Lin Yuan's law crystals, the peak-level myth-breed dragon species phase that the Long family's Emperor-level experts had contracted all welcomed the opportunity to break through. They were advancing toward creation breed. Seeing 7 or 8 calamities of creation condensing in the air at the same time, as the Long family's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately summoned his 2 main phase, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus. Lin Yuan realized that the weak water ice jade flood dragon, which was of higher grade and quality, was actually slightly weaker than the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus in terms of aura. There was only one possibility for the dragon species phase to be so weak and look like they had been hollowed out. That was, they had condensed essence blood. If they had only condensed 1 or 2 drops, their aura should not be so weak. Thinking that the weak water ice jade flood dragon was a main dragon species phase that had evolved from a pure-blooded flood dragon, Lin Yuan looked deeply at Long Du. Since the Long family had treated him with such affection, Lin Yuan naturally had to accept their kindness. Since that was the case, Lin Yuan shouted in a low voice, "Shadow, stop these calamities of creation and then divide the original calamities of creation's power into 100 parts. Temper these main phase that had just evolved into creation breed separately." As Lin Yuan's voice fell, a black shadow scuttled out of Lin Yuan's shadow. According to Lin Yuan's instructions, Shadow waved its hand to stop the calamities of creation. As a pinnacle Emperor-class expert, Long Du could easily control phase to help resist the calamities of creation. However, the weak water ice jade flood dragon and the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus, whose strength was still at the creation realm, were at the same level as the calamities of creation. Therefore, neither the weak water ice jade flood dragon nor the extreme dark earthen tyrannosaurus could separate the calamities of creation. These dragon species phase that had just evolved into main dragon species would be baptized by the calamities of creation again and again. They would be able to perfectly stimulate their bloodline power. It was only at this moment that the Coiling Dragon Valley's experts knew. What did the expert that had silently killed the Beast Creation Garden's Emperor-class expert in the Extreme Arena look like? Shadow's appearance looked very different from ordinary people, but it was not very similar to a fae. Even now that the Abyss world had opened, the Coiling Dragon Valley's people had yet to come into contact with a Class 12 demon that was comparable to an immortal fae. Therefore, the Long family's experts could not specifically confirm Shadow's identity. However, everyone could feel from Shadow's strength that it had already broken away from the realm of creation breeds. This made Long Du very envious. When helping the Long family's experts through the world tribulation, Lin Yuan did not request to absorb the earth vein of creation. However, just like when Endless Summer had become a creation breed, the earth vein of creation would slightly overflow. When the Long family's experts phase absorbed the earth vein of creation, a small portion would also overflow. This part of the overflow was collected by Lin Yuan using the Pure Land of Bliss. Through his previous communication with Princess, Lin Yuan knew that source-type power could strengthen the earth vein of creation. These fish food-sized creation golden pearls could be used as the prototype of the nomological world's earth vein. Chapter 15:18. The Void Shadow Demon was helping these new creation breed main dragon species phase strengthen their bodies with the calamity of creation. Then, it escaped into Lin Yuan's shadow again. The Long family's experts, whose strength had just increased, brought their phase and continuously expressed their gratitude to Lin Yuan. Just as Long too suggested that everyone return to the Long residence and set up a banquet to welcome Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan replied, "If we want Coiling Dragon Valley to replace the Whale Ocean Trade Center's position, just having Emperor-level combat power isn't enough. It needs the support of undying power. The Weakwater Ice Jade Dragon's current strength has already reached Sovereign King level 10, 8th Tribulation of Creation. All I need is an opportunity, and I'll be able to lay my hands on eternity." Lin Yuan's words stunned everyone in the Long family. Then, everyone looked at Lin Yuan with rapid breathing. In particular, Long Du looked at Lin Yuan with an abnormally scorching gaze. Could it be that Lin Yuan was planning to give his weak water, ice jade, and flood dragon an opportunity to become immortal? It was just that his weak water ice jade flood dragon had just condensed 5 drops of blood essence, and its vitality was greatly damaged. Even if he was given a chance now, he wouldn't be able to grasp it. At that moment, Long Tu saw Lin Yuan take out a wooden box and hand it to him. "There's no time to lose. Let's use the items in this wooden chest to help the rudimentary ice jade flood dragon recover its vitality. Then, I can take out a world crystal and see if this world crystal can give the Ruoxue jade falling dragon a chance to become immortal." As Lin Yuan spoke, Long Du had already opened the wooden box. Long Du, who had just opened the wooden box, was almost blinded by the dazzling treasures inside. He only needed to absorb half of the heavenly maiden-grade water elemental pearls. On top of that, there were also some emperor-grade spirit materials that could replenish chi and blood. It was able to let the Ruoxue jade falling serpent recover its energy in a short time. Long Du thought to himself when Lin Yuan mentioned the world crystal. It really was a world crystal. Only Class 5 creation masters could use world crystals to concoct world crystals to create a world crystal that could allow a pinnacle of world creation Fae to become immortal. It must be known that the 3 highnesses of the Hui Yao sect had never bestowed world crystals to outsiders. The world crystal had always been digested internally by the 3 Class 5 creation masters. Now, Lin Yuan took out the world crystal and gave it to the Long family. It could be said that in the Radiant sect's history, it was the largest gift of Class 5 creation master resources that a top faction had ever received. If Lin Yuan and the Moon Empress were separated. Now, it was proven that relying on Lin Yuan was more beneficial than relying on other Class 5 creation masters. There was no one in the Coiling Dragon Valley who forgot their roots. Long Du, Long Tu, and Long Tao also hated people who forgot their roots and didn't care about friendship. Today, Lin Yuan's gift had elevated the Coiling Dragon Valley to a high position among the top 3 factions. From today onward, the Coiling Dragon Valley would be on Lin Yuan's side. As smart people, Long Tu and Long Du wouldn't say something like that. After all, it would only make the relationship between Long Tao and Lin Yuan awkward. But even if he didn't say it, he could do it. When using these heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls, the humanoid weak water ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan with gratitude. Only then did he start to use the heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls to recover the damage he had suffered from condensing his essence blood. The Coiling Dragon Valley had a lot of imperial spiritual ingredients that could recover chi and blood. After all, after a dragon species Fae condensed its essence blood, it would need spiritual ingredients that could recover chi and blood to accelerate the recovery speed. With the consumption of a large number of heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls and chi and blood recovery spiritual ingredients, the weak water ice jade flood dragon's aura kept rising. Soon, it suppressed the extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus. It once again displayed the power of a pinnacle creation master dragon species Fae. The humanoid extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus looked at the weak water ice jade flood dragon with envy. The extreme dark earth Tyrannosaurus knew that its brother dragon was going to metamorphose into a new life level in the future. The power of a dragon species Fae could only be truly displayed when it reached immortality. Only a dragon species Fae that had the strength to peak at immortality could condense dragon pearls. Long Du still had strength to spare when facing the tribulation of creation. However, there was nothing Long Du could do about the deathless forging that would descend upon him when he reached deathless. The tribulation of creation was much more dangerous than the world cleansing, and the tribulation of immortality was much more dangerous than the tribulation of creation. Therefore, even if Lin Yuan gave his main fae, the weak water ice jade flood dragon, a chance to reach immortality, Long Du was still afraid that his weak water ice jade flood dragon would die at this opportunity. The tribulation of immortality was different from the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation. The tribulation of immortality didn't have any worldly phenomena and only acted on the fae itself. The power of immortality evolved from the world of law would cleanse the fae's body. Then, it would cleanse the body and slowly grind the complete world of law of the 8 creation earth veins. It would fuse its body with the broken world of law. It would form an immortal body in the world. The world of law was the source of all the power of a creation breed fae. Even if it survived the danger of the power of immortality, if it wanted to reach immortality, it would have to bear the risk of using its body to grind the world of law. Immortality was an unknown realm for the entire Coiling Dragon Valley. Because of the unknown, it was afraid. It wasn't that the tribulation of immortality couldn't be like the world cleansing and the tribulation of creation, where other experts could help. They just wanted to help a pinnacle creation breed fae complete the first tribulation of immortality. In the beginning, the helper had to use great power to protect the body. They didn't want the body to be destroyed by the power of immortality. Then, they had to use great power to create a barrier around the target that wouldn't be broken by the power of the world. They had to prevent the power of the world from leaking out and forming the immortal body. These 2 points seemed easy, but to complete the first point, they needed precise control of the power of immortality. Only then could they ensure that the body wouldn't be destroyed by the power of immortality. This was something that the expert Lin Yuan had just used obviously couldn't do. To accurately control the power of immortality, the helper had to be at least level 5 immortal. As for the second point, it was even more difficult. When the world of law of the 8 creation earth veins collapsed, even a level 5 immortal expert wouldn't be able to withstand the power. Once the barrier was broken, the power of the world would leak out. In the end, even if the immortal body was formed, it wouldn't be complete. It could only be considered a broken body. Therefore, to ensure that the seed of creation fae was 100% safe, at least a level 7 immortal expert was needed to help. But where could they find such an expert? Anyway, the Long family couldn't be found. Therefore, when they first heard that Di Wanqing had successfully become an immortal and that the Zhai family had 2 immortal experts, the Emperor-class experts of the various factions all sighed at Di Wanqing's good luck. Chapter 15-19. Just as Long Du was feeling apprehensive, Lin Yuan spoke. In a while, the expert guarding the Jade Falling Serpent will arrive. Don't worry, as long as the Ruoxue Jade Falling Flood Dragon can keep its composure, no accidents will happen. I can guarantee the safety of the Ruoxue Jade Falling Dragon 100%. Hearing Lin Yuan's words, Long Du immediately understood that Lin Yuan controlled immortal level 7 and above. This was simply too shocking. Then, an irrepressible sense of gratitude flowed through Long Du's heart. Long Du, who had lived for most of his life, was already half a foot in the grave. He had never been so grateful to someone in his life. Long Tao had really made a good friend. Lin Yuan was simply the Coiling Dragon Valley's little lucky star. After feeling grateful, Long Du fell into a state of shock. No one understood the situation in Coiling Dragon Valley better than Long Du. The Coiled Dragon Valley was close to the top 10 among the Radiance's 50 top factions. It was all because of the Golden Lotus Brocade stock's sudden increase in Creation Master resources. This kind of foundation that relied on external items to increase greatly made the position of the Coiling Dragon Valley unstable. It would take a few years or even a dozen years for Coiling Dragon Valley to firmly take root among the top 10 factions. In the end, after Lin Yuan came to the Coiled Dragon Valley, he had to rely on resources. He pushed the Coiling Dragon Valley to the top 3 of the peak factions. He took out dozens of law crystals and added a dozen Emperor-level powerhouses to the Coiling Dragon Valley. Then, he took out the World Crystal and summoned experts to help him. It would allow him to have a 100% chance of becoming undying. With such resources and ability, even if he did not spend them on the Coiling Dragon Valley, he would still be able to spend them on any of the veteran top factions. That faction could fill the gap in the Whale Oceans trade and become one of the top 3 factions. These resources were given by the Moon Empress or in Lin Yuan's hands. It was enough to prove that he had the power to change the faction structure. Lin Yuan had already asked the Slaughter Sky Butterfly to contact Bai Yan. At this time, Bai Yan was rushing towards the entrance of the Swamp World's Klein hub. In less than an hour, Lin Yuan waved his hand and summoned Bai Yan. When Bai Yan saw Lin Yuan, he hurriedly bowed and said, "Bai Yan greets my lord." While greeting Lin Yuan, Bai Yan used his peripheral vision to look at the Long family's people. His gaze rested on the Xueqi ice jade serpent for a while. In Bai Yan's opinion, if there was a conflict, the weak water ice jade flood dragon would pose the greatest threat to Lin Yuan. Thus Bai Yan released a trace of his own aura and enveloped the rudimentary water ice jade dragon. The rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt like it was in the mouth of a crocodile in a deep pool. He had a creepy feeling that he might be swallowed by the giant crocodile at any time. Lin Yuan instructed Bai Yan. "Bai Yan, retract your aura. In a moment, form a barrier around his body, and use your power to prevent the undying power from destroying his body." When Bai Yan heard this, he didn't understand why the Lord Ruler wanted him to help this otherworld person. But since this was the sovereign's arrangement, he had to do it beautifully. It had to be said that Bai Yan's thoughts had been enlightened on the island of Stormy Wave City. He was increasingly seeing Lin Yuan as a god. No matter what Lin Yuan asked Bai Yan to do, Bai Yan, who would wholeheartedly obey Lin Yuan, would not think too much about it. Bai Yan placed his hand on the eternal ice jade flood dragon's back. Immediately after, a thick aura surged into the body of the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao. Bai Yan, whose strength was comparable to a peak immortal, could not be resisted by the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao. The moment Bai Yan's energy entered its body, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt that its body was almost out of control. Lin Yuan said to the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao, "Now, swallow the world crystal." Hearing Lin Yuan's instructions, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao put the world crystal into its mouth with a sacred expression. It was ready to welcome the transformation of its life form. As the energy within the world crystal surged into the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's law world, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt its law world suddenly expand and contract. 8 Genesis earth veins embedded in the ground of the world, stabilizing the world, flew up. In the process of interweaving in the air, a magnificent dark golden energy was born. This magnificent dark golden energy squatted outside the law world. It broke through the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's world crystal and merged into its body. Immediately after, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao felt as if its whole body was burning. An indescribable pain spread through its flesh. Fortunately, the power that the immortal expert behind it had just injected into its body firmly supported its flesh. Otherwise, his flesh and blood would fall apart in less than 2 minutes under the influence of this dark golden energy. Bai Yan frowned and sensed the situation in the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body. After the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body got used to the immortal power, Bai Yan withdrew a part of the energy that he had injected into the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body. This allowed more of the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's flesh to be cleansed by the immortal power. 1 day and 1 night passed. From the sun hanging high in the sky to the stars, and then to the sun rising in the east. The rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body emerged with a faint dark golden color. As soon as this aura leaked out, the extreme dark earthburst dragon staggered a step back. The Long family members watched the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body being cleansed by the immortal power. Their eyes were full of expectation. At this moment Bai Yan said, "I will withdraw the last bit of energy that I injected into your body. What I can do next is to make this shield unbreakable. You will have to rely on yourself for the rest. Don't waste the fortune that our Lord has given you." With that, Bai Yan's hand left the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's back. Then Bai Yan's eyes turned eerily white, and a majestic energy spurted out from Bai Yan's eyes. On the shield that covered the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's body, a giant crocodile figure appeared. The scales on the giant crocodile's figure could be clearly seen, head to tail on the shield. Even when the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao's law world was crushed, the energy that erupted could not even cause a ripple on the shield. At this moment, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao was enduring 100 times more pain than before. The law world was shattered, causing the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao to instantly feel as if it had lost all its power. This feeling made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao, who had been holding the power, panic. But before the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao could panic for long, it felt that its body was being cleansed by the immortal power. It was constantly absorbing the fragments of the broken world. Then, the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao found that its lost power was returning bit by bit. and this returned power was perfectly integrated into the immortal body. It made the rudimentary water ice jade Jiao feel as if the world was immortal in its body. Its body could also be immortal in this world. Chapter 15:20. Suddenly, the immortal ice jade flood dragon felt a warmth in its abdomen. It felt as though it was giving birth to a new life. This feeling made the immortal ice jade flood dragon panic. It was a male flood dragon. Could a male flood dragon also give birth? Don't want to be a male mother. Immediately after, the immortal ice jade flood dragon reacted. It should have given birth to a dragon pearl. The rudimentary ice jade Jiao opened its mouth and spat out a bead. It was a dragon pearl. This dragon pearl was the size of a fist and was covered with majestic dragon chi. This dragon chi reflected the surrounding scenery, making it look a little hazy. An extremely cold water-type power spread out from this dragon pearl. This power made Bai Yan feel very comfortable. It was even more comfortable than scraping the scales from the little ribfish and smearing them on its scales. However, no matter how comfortable it was, Bai Yan could not let his temper take this dragon pearl for himself. A main dragon spitting out a pearl was already the limit of the main dragon bloodline. When the dragon pearl transformed into spirit, the main dragon would break through the original shackles and step into a new bloodline level. After the immortal ice jade flood dragon kept the dragon pearl, a simple puppet appeared in front of it. This was the immortal body formed by the immortal ice jade flood dragon. As the immortal body of the immortal ice jade flood dragon increased in quality, the immortal body would show more and more colors and become more and more exquisite. The immortal ice jade flood dragon's human form would also recover more and more fey characteristics. Lin Yuan said to Long Du with a smile. Congratulations on successfully becoming immortal. How the Long family will replace the position of Whale Ocean Trade will depend on you to show your strength to the other top factions and obtain recognition. Long Du and the immortal ice jade flood dragon bowed deeply to Lin Yuan. Lord Lin Yuan, we know what to do next. Thank you, Lord Lin Yuan, for giving Coiling Dragon Valley a chance to prosper. If Coiling Dragon Valley needed anything from now on, Lord Lin Yuan could assign it. Coiling Dragon Valley would go through fire and water without any hesitation. When Lin Yuan heard that, he suddenly remembered that his source sand still needed the mountain-containing embryo to improve its quality. I really need a set of spiritual ingredients. I wonder if your Coiling Dragon Valley has a mountain-containing embryo? I need at least 3 mountain-containing embryos to enhance phase. Long Tao knew of Black's identity. Upon hearing that Lin Yuan wanted to use the mountain-containing embryo to enhance phase, he immediately thought of Lin Yuan's source sand. Brother Lin Yuan, our Coiling Dragon Valley has some stock of mountain-capacity embryos. There should be 7 or 8 of them. I'll pack them up for you when we get back. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan did not refuse. Although 3 or 4 mountain-containing embryos could raise the source sand's quality to Fantasy V, it was far from enough. However, more of the mountain-containing embryo was absorbed by the source sand, allowing it to produce more guard sand. The increase in the number of guard sand was equivalent to increasing the strength of the source sand. Lin Yuan followed the Long family back to the Coiling Dragon Valley and accepted their hospitality. Unexpectedly, as soon as they finished their meal, a large number of insect cries rang out in the valley behind the old house in the Coiled Dragon Valley. The people in the Coiling Dragon Valley were not surprised by the sudden buzzing of insects. Instead, he was pleasantly surprised. Long Tao explained to Lin Yuan. This should be another Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift that expanded to the pinnacle of Class 4. If a pinnacle faction opened a dimensional rift on its own, it would not be able to do so. If there were experts in the faction, they could easily suppress the dimensional life forms in the dimensional rift. Generally, they would choose to place a large number of source-type items in Class 4 dimensional rifts. Due to the lack of sacred source life forms, Class 4 dimensional rifts could not be upgraded to Class 5. However, when a Class 4 dimensional rift became a pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, the dimensional rift's production would greatly increase. Ever since Lin Yuan had asked the Coiling Dragon Valley to help him keep an eye on the Imperial Armored Martial God insects, the Coiling Dragon Valley had collected a total of 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects for him. Now these 7 Imperial Armored Martial God insects, which were comparable to Myth 2 phase, were being controlled by the Heaven Fragrance Beauty Butterfly like obedient babies. Upon hearing that the Long family had a ready-made pinnacle Class 4 dimensional rift, Lin Yuan's interest was piqued. The probability of a Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift producing Imperial Armored Martial God insects was 100 times that of a low-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. It was 30 times that of a mid-grade Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. When Lin Yuan expressed that he wanted to enter the Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Coiling Dragon Valley's strongest expert, Long Du, immediately expressed that he wanted to accompany Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan did not refuse. Lin Yuan had already sent Bai Yen back to the swamp world. It was undoubtedly inconvenient to call Bai Yen out for any small matter. With Long Du accompanying him, Lin Yuan could collect the Imperial Armored Martial God insects at the fastest speed. Lin Yuan might be lucky enough to encounter the special form of alien insects like the Imperial Armored Martial God insects. After entering the Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, Lin Yuan found that everywhere he looked was almost covered with alien insects. Just as Long Du was about to make a move, Lin Yuan released a six-winged demon with a wave of his hand. This six-winged demon trembled when it saw Long Du immediately after. Long Du saw this six-winged demon wave its hand and sprinkle countless powder-like things. When the powder was sprinkled among the insect swarm became chaotic. A large number of strange flesh-like flowers grew among the insect swarm. Just as these alien insects were about to attack the flesh-like flowers, the flesh-like flowers sprayed out powder all over the sky. In an instant, flower vines covered the area under their feet. The flower vines wantonly preyed among the insect swarm, turning any alien insect that they could touch into food. Occasionally, a few powerful alien insects would be continuously added with some negative effects in this sea of flower vines. In the end, they would decay into dregs. Lin Yuan originally had the idea of using the Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift to see Red Thorn's strength. He did not expect that Red Thorn could already leave its main body and summon the Sea of Flowers to fight. However, compared to summoning its main body, Red Thorn's current fighting style was undoubtedly much weaker. Just as Long Du was about to summon the weak Water Ice Jade Flood Dragon and let it transform into its main body, while carrying Lin Yuan to search the Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift, the Black Dragon King suddenly appeared. Two pairs of black wings suddenly extended from Lin Yuan's back. However, these two pairs of wings were just the beginning. More and larger black wings condensed behind Lin Yuan. In a short while, Lin Yuan was like a 12-winged black angel, flapping his wings and soaring in the sky. Lin Yuan used the 12-winged black wings to fly at a speed that secretly shocked Long Du. The increase in the Soar Sand strength allowed Lin Yuan's flying speed to greatly increase. This speed was already comparable to the speed of a platinum/fantasy breed flying fae. More day and night spirit silver turned into feathers, allowing Lin Yuan to change the size of his wings at will. Chapter 1521. When Red Thorn preyed on plants, it had no concept of wings, or rather, it was completely indifferent. But now, Red Thorn's bloodline had transformed into a fairy source-type life form. In Red Thorn's subconscious, it had already regarded wings as the most attractive thing. Now, there were a total of 6 pairs of wings on Lin Yuan's back. It made Red Thorn's eyes emit little stars. Red Thorn flew up and hugged Lin Yuan's cheek, unwilling to let go. Seeing Red Thorn's infatuated look, Lin Yuan felt a little helpless. When he held Red Thorn in his hand, Red Thorn had an aggrieved expression. Lin Yuan could only allow Red Thorn to hug his cheek and rub its little face against it. Under Red Thorn's command, the Sea of Flowers under his feet used the alien insects as a camp. They kept spreading inside the Pinnacle Class 4 alien insect dimensional rift. Wherever Lin Yuan went, the Sea of Flowers under his feet opened up a path. The Sea of Flowers formed by nibbling vines was the best screening machine. While killing the weak alien insects on the surface, only those powerful alien insects were left. Lin Yuan did not let Long Du make a move against these powerful alien insects. Lin Yuan released 12 Heavenly Fragrance Beauty Butterflies. The 5 Heavenly Fragrance Beauty Butterflies that did not control the Imperial Armored Martial God insects controlled these powerful alien insects. Then, he let the other 7 Heavenly Fragrance Beauty Butterflies control the Imperial Armored Martial God insects and turn their carapace into sharp blades. He had to kill all the alien insects that were being controlled. The Heavenly Fragrance Beauty Butterflies method of killing the alien insects in the name of love was extremely demonic among the insect corpses. This ability belonged to the butterfly-type phase among the insect-type phase. However, compared to Purple Firmament, these Heavenly Fragrance Beauty Butterflies' charm ability was much weaker. Soon, Lin Yuan found the goal of his trip. The Imperial Armored Martial God insects were extremely aggressive insect-type fays. Especially when they saw their own kind, they would often fight to the death. Even when they saw the opposite sex, they would still kill. They would only show mercy when they encountered the opposite sex during the mating phase. This population characteristic destined the Imperial Armored Martial God insects to be rare. It was precisely this characteristic that made each Imperial Armored Martial God insect a battle-hardened warrior. Lin Yuan saw the two Emperor Armored Martial God insects that were like Gundams fiercely colliding with each other with their insect blades. One of the Royal Armored Martial God insects was obviously severely injured. However, the strength of this injured Imperial Armored Martial God insect was slightly stronger than the other uninjured Imperial Armored Martial God insect. This meant that the Emperor Armored Martial God bug's injuries were not caused during the battle. At the same time, Lin Yuan keenly discovered that the carapace on the back of this injured Imperial Armored Martial God insect had split from its original 2 halves into 4 halves. It made the 4 halves of the carapace on its back feel like 4 wings of steel. At that time, Lin Yuan had seen the Imperial Armored Martial God insect in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. That was why he decided to use the Royal Armored Martial God insects to pull the Fey carriage. The injured Royal Armored Martial God insect in front of him had obviously mutated. It was just that the mutation was not complete. Lin Yuan did not immediately intervene in the battle between the 2 Royal Armored Martial God insects. Instead, he was prepared to wait and see. When Lan Qin introduced the mutated Emperor Armored Martial God bug, she had said that the Emperor Armored Martial God bug's mutation would only last for an instant. Every time an Emperor Armored Martial God insect gains enlightenment in a life-or-death situation, its wings will split open once. Thus, it can turn its wings into its own weapon to make up for its shortcomings in attack. Because this mutated Emperor Armored Martial God insect's injuries are too severe, even if it uses the 4 wings on its back to fight, it is still gradually at a disadvantage. After being slashed several times by the opposite Emperor Armored Martial God insect's insect blades, this seriously injured Emperor Armored Martial God insect tried its best to resist with its carapace. Perhaps it felt the threat of death, or the mutated genes had broken through its own limits. The thicker end of the carapace split open again. The 4 wings, which originally only had a wingspan of 6 meters, instantly became 6 wings with a wingspan of 13 meters. The 6 wings overlapped and instantly beheaded the Emperor Armored Martial God insect that had launched a fierce attack on him. Although he had lost an Emperor Armored Martial God insect in this battle, Lin Yuan did not mind at all. Compared to an ordinary Emperor Armored Martial God insect, Lin Yuan was more willing to have an Emperor Armored Martial God insect that had mutated twice. This Emperor Armored Martial God insect that had mutated twice was already roughly the same as the specimen in Lan Qin's Fey observation room. Lin Yuan let the only heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly that had broken through control this Emperor Armored Martial God insect that had mutated twice. As a result, this Emperor Armored Martial God insect had just experienced an intense battle and became a subject under the heavenly fragrance beauty butterfly's skirt. Lin Yuan was very lucky in this trip to the Pinnacle Class 4 Alien Insect Dimensional Rift. It just happened to fill the gap of 5 Emperor Armored Martial God insects. After leaving the opening Dragon Valley and returning to the mansion, Lin Yuan first threw all 9 pieces of the mountain-containing embryo to the source sand. He let the source sand slowly absorb the mountain-containing embryo. If an elemental source-type life form like the source sand wanted to improve its quality, it needed a certain amount of time to accumulate. However, before the Radiance 100 sequence, the source sand's quality could always be improved to Fantasy V. Blackie was originally a water-type Fae, and so was the weak water-ice jade flood dragon. Therefore, the weak water-ice jade flood dragon's essence blood was the most suitable nourishment for Blackie. 3 drops of the weak water-ice jade flood dragon's essence blood allowed Blackie's quality to improve all the way to Fantasy V. The Fantasy V Blackie's body expanded once again. It grew from its original length of 100 meters to nearly 300 meters. This length made Blackie look exceptionally mighty and domineering. However, when he thought of Blackie's goose-like personality, Lin Yuan could not help but complain. Looks are indeed the best at bluffing. Other than the change in body size, the grade upgrade this time was different. Lin Yuan realized that Blackie actually had the ability to control the clouds. While flying, he could use the clouds to shield his body and command the clouds to create thunder and rain. It was a power that could only be grasped by a flood dragon species Fae when it became a main dragon species. Now that Little Black could faintly control the clouds, it meant that Little Black had mutated into a main dragon species. Anyway, he still had 2 drops of essence blood of the weak water ice jade jiao in his hands. Lin Yuan decided to feed Blackie the 2 drops of the weak water ice jade flood dragon's essence blood. If he couldn't upgrade it to a main dragon species Fey, he would treat it as a waste of essence blood. Once it became a main dragon species Fey, Blackie's bloodline would overturn the common understanding that there were no main dragon species below the myth breed. In the eyes of some creation masters, this understanding couldn't be broken. However, in this half a year, Lin Yuan had broken common sense and understanding countless times. His Blackie had always been nurtured with the best method, so it wasn't impossible to break common sense and understanding. As expected, Blackie didn't disappoint Lin Yuan. Instant Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1522. With 2 drops of rudimentary Ice Jade Jiao's blood essence, Blackie's dragon power suddenly increased by a level. A large amount of clouds gathered around Blackie, making its 300-meter-long body faintly discernible. Golden lightning swam within the clouds, and a torrential rain suddenly fell. A domineering and arrogant dragon roar echoed throughout the return from faraway manor. It symbolized the arrival of a master dragon. The angelfish of bliss in the hidden Wyrm lake had gotten used to Blackie's presence. Knowing that Blackie would not harm them, they no longer hid from him. But now that Blackie's aura had changed, these angelfish of bliss began to hide from him again. Lin Yuan estimated that in the past 2 weeks, it would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely. It would be very difficult to see the rainbow figure swimming freely in the hidden Wyrm lake. In the boundless night, a wild laughter came from the mouth of a golden-haired uncle. Second page of Revival. We are both kings on this trip. Don't expect me to assist you. The golden-haired uncle had an incomparably righteous face. This long face made the middle-aged man feel that whatever he did was righteous. The girl next door with a pair of gray wings behind her looked at the golden-haired uncle with dead eyes. His tone sounded like he was singing a funeral song. 6th page whipping. I don't care what you do on this trip. But in the Radiance Federation, when I need to use the sacred source life form, the Black Mass Cup, you have to activate it. I have lost contact with the 2 seeds of the garden-haired konjac and one of the clusters. I can no longer sense their presence by relying on the main body of the garden-haired konjac. I released these 2 seeds and clusters to absorb energy for the advancement of the round garden-haired konjac. Now that the main body of the garden-haired konjac is missing, I can't retrieve the seeds and clusters. The garden-haired konjac will never be able to cross that threshold. Baidu search. This will affect the 100-year plan of our tower cannon, the revival of the hibernators. Don't forget what Lady Scarlet told you when you came here. 6th page whipping's expression changed slightly when he heard 2nd page of Revival. His sharp eyes stared at 2nd page of Revival. The Destiny page is dead, but the Tower Cannons page will be replaced soon. I asked 3 pages Eternal Sin, and he doesn't know who this Scarlet page is. As soon as Scarlet page arrived, he revealed his strength and gave us a show of strength. No one truly respects him, yet you call him Lord. It seems like the 2nd page of Renaissance knows the identity of the 1st page of Scarlet. I am the esteemed 6th page of the Pagoda Canon, but the more I think about it, the more I feel that even I, the grand 6th page, cannot see through the Pagoda Canon. If you want me to use the Black Mass Chalice, you should at least give me a reason. The consequences of the Black Mass Cup's activation will cause the Radiant side to immediately retaliate against our tower cannon. When 2nd page Revival heard 6th page Whip's words, his expression changed. From the original deathly stillness and resentment, she became as pure as the girl next door. You only need to know how to use the Cup of Black Massachusetts. The 100-year plan of the Pagoda Cannon and the resurrection of the slumbering ones cannot be lost. Lord Crimson Page will handle Hui Yao's revenge. When 6th page Whip heard 2nd page Revival's words, a playful expression appeared on his face. At the same time, deep fear flashed in his eyes. It was as if he was thinking about the red fingers engraved with a strange totem under the crimson robe. When he thought about the red fingers engraved with the strange totem, 6th page Whip could not help but shiver. Could it be that the legendary person could live for thousands of years without dying? In a Blackstone castle, the youth looked at the young girl who was holding a mop and grabbed the mop. He said to the young girl unhappily, "Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants in the Blackstone castle now. You don't need to work anymore. The young girl rubbed the soft curly hair on the youth's head with her palm and said, Big sister, I am now an Earth Mother. There are so many servants serving in the Blackstone Castle now. You don't need to work anymore. When the young girl heard that, she used her palm to rub the soft curly hair on the youth's head. If you don't let me, I don't know what I can do. If you don't let Big Sister do it, I don't know what I can do in a day. Big Sister doesn't have the talent to be a spirit chi professional, so I can't help you. When the youth heard that, his eyes could not help but turn red. Even if the lords in the stars had allowed him to become a creation master and Old Mother Earth, he would not be able to do so. The people around him who had bullied him in the past had all become respectful of him and were trying to please him. But his sister would always be the same as before. However, the young man's stubbornness came out, and he didn't want his sister to do any more hard work. Suddenly, the youth thought of an idea and said to the girl, Sis, you don't have the talent of a spirit chi professional, but you can still contract some special source-type items. Sister, didn't you like to arrange flowers and draw since you were young? I love looking at Big Sister's paintings. When Big Sister contracts source-type items in the future, I'll help Big Sister strengthen them, and Big Sister can go and do some flower arrangements, okay? Hearing this, the young girl was slightly startled. He did not expect that there would be a day when he could contract source-type items without the talent of a spirit chi professional. She knew how stubborn her younger brother could be since he was young. The girl decided to agree first. Her younger brother had grown up. If only her father and mother were still alive. They would probably have a smile on their faces. I really don't know who the benefactor that my brother has been talking about is. I wish I could thank him in person. At this moment, a voice came from the door. A middle-aged man with a face full of embroidery knocked on the door respectfully. After getting a response, he walked in and said, Lord Bupa, Heavenly Mother wishes to see you. This middle-aged man was a strong practitioner at the peak of king level, and he was an inspector that Heavenly Mother had sent to Mother Earth Palace. This kind of supervisory attendant sent down by Heavenly Mother didn't need to be too polite to Mother Earth in the underground castle. However, the middle-aged man knew how astonishing the talent of the youth in front of him was. He actually completed the Class 3 Creation Master exam. This matter not only alarmed the Heavenly Mother, but even the Divine Mother received the news. In the future, this young man would probably become a disciple that even the Heavenly Mother would have to bow to. Bupa nodded and said, I'll go see Heavenly Mother immediately. At night, Bupa returned to the Blackstone Fort in a daze. He felt that everything was like a dream. He was actually going to the Imperial City to pay his respects to the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother would personally test him and decide whether or not to accept him as a disciple. This was an honor that Bupa didn't even dare to dream of. With this honor, Bupa was even more grateful to the man with the codename Lion among the stars. This kind of gratitude even surpassed Bupa's sense of belonging to the Divine Mother Federation. If it wasn't for that lord, Bupa knew that his sister would have died after being defiled. His injuries would have even caused him to die before his sister. Bupa put his palms together and thought to himself, if I can become the Divine Mother's disciple, I'm willing to repay the Lord with the Divine Mother Federation for saving my sister and saving my sister's life. Instant update Beast Evolution Quotient. Please bookmark this site so that you can read it online the next time there's an update. The mobile version was updated the fastest. Chapter 1523. After making his wish, the young man stood up, turned around, and ran toward his sister's room. He shouted from his mouth, Sister, we're going to the capital tomorrow. In a tavern filled with the smell of oysters, a man was sitting next to a dark, skinny youth. He said as he drank the blood wine in his cup, Little monkey, next time you see someone causing trouble, drag him out and beat him to death. Although we're running a tavern, our business is to escort ships at sea. This is not a place for these troublemakers to drink and cause trouble. Somehow, he had escaped from the sea. Warren began to enjoy drinking blood wine and eating softened shark meat. The blood wine reminded Warren of how his brother had bled for him when he was in a desperate situation. The softened shark meat reminded Warren to be on guard against any incoming danger. Warren was still as kind to the crew as ever, but he was still the same. These crew members were Warren's sworn brothers who had been through life and death together. However, it was undeniable that the little monkey had become the person that Warren valued the most. Little monkey said seriously after hearing Warren's words, Brother Warren, If anyone dares to cause trouble again, I'll definitely use the rudder to chop off their heads. Those who are drunk and causing trouble here are mostly people sent by other fleets to gather information. We don't have any girls here. Which decent sailor would come to our inn to drink? Warren narrowed his eyes and glared at the little monkey. Damn it. Do you have some kind of misunderstanding about a proper sailor? Warren patted the little monkey's shoulder and said, Go and inform them first. Although there are only 7 fleets this time, I will lead them on a big one. Let them see with their own eyes that the sawtooth sharks are no longer a nightmare for ships. Our tavern will naturally become lively. Warren stared at the dim lights in the tavern. It was as if he could see through the flames and see the man surrounded by rules and wills among the stars. Warren, who possessed the diamond/fantasy breed blue-ringed giant octopus, was much stronger than before. It was precisely because of this that Warren understood the man codenamed Lion better. What kind of power did it possess? His entire team's annual income at sea wasn't even enough to invite a Class 4 Creation Master to take action once. That figure actually used an unbelievable method to accomplish something that only Class 4 Creation Masters could do. At the same time, Warren knew that the figure didn't just possess the resources of a Class 4 Creation Master. How could an ordinary Class 4 Creation Master obtain a Bronze/Legend Fae? That figure was Warren's secret and also Warren's benefactor. Most of the navigators of the Storm Federation believed in a god. On the masts of ships sailing on the sea, there were always carvings of sea dragons. It was rumored that in the depths of the sea around the Storm Federation, there was a huge sea dragon sleeping at the bottom of the sea. This legend had always been passed down by the navigators. But not long ago, Warren erased the sea dragon totem on the mast of the Warren. Warren carved 2 thrones on the mast according to his memory. A man with a Leo nebula above his head sat on a throne. On the other throne sat a woman with a Libra nebula above her head. Compared to the illusory sea dragon, Warren believed in these 2 figures more. For the god in Warren's heart. As he stood up, a cold light flashed across Warren's eyes. For the sake of resources, the Voyagers were always fighting over them. They were not willing to unite. However, his god wanted him to establish a faction. As for those Voyagers who only wanted to fight for resources, he could only apologize. Anyone who obstructed his path had to die. Only those who were obedient would be able to survive. It was unknown if it was because he had contracted the blue-ringed sea octopus and had more interactions with it. Due to the influence of the blue-ringed sea octopus, Warren became more and more iron-blooded. However, only iron-blooded people would be able to achieve their goals more easily. It would also be easier to protect his old comrades. Based on the time, it should be almost 7 days. Warren was looking forward to the second gathering among the stars. At that moment, Warren felt a nebula among the stars giving him guidance. Warren's heart immediately became excited. After giving some instructions, Warren returned to his room. After locking the door, Warren responded to the call of the nebula. After 7 days, the gathering among the stars was going to start again. This time, it wasn't just Ian Lin. Bei Su, Talay, Bu Pa, and Warren were also participating. Xueqi, who was in the Divine Wood Federation, also accepted this guidance. Surin would accept the guidance, but not because he had something to do at the Celestial Body Assembly. Not long ago, when Lin Yuan had helped the myth breed phase through the world cleansing and harvested spirit chi crystals. He had been to the Divine Wood Federation once. At that time, he had provided Xueqi with all the supplies for the flourishing Chamber of Commerce for 3 months. At the same time, he had given her 20 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts. Holding these walnuts, Xueqi thought for a long time. She had finally decided to choose 12 pairs of bronze/epic walnuts and make them into core bells. They hung on the 14 millet fruits. This could not only enhance the Love Square's prestige but also attract the descendants of the wealthy families in the Divine Wood Federation. To Xueqi, these descendants of the rich and powerful were the perfect source of information. They could help her obtain information that only the major factions would circulate in the Divine Wood Federation. Lin Yuan had already said that he would not come to the Divine Wood Federation in the short term. He had asked her to deal with the Divine Wood Federation's matters. At the same time, he had given her a magical piece of paper that could be written on with her spiritual power. Through the paper, even if she was on 2 different continents, she could still exchange information very well. But for some reason, Xueqi really wanted to have the opportunity to sit face-to-face with Lin Yuan. Therefore, Even if Xueqi was fine, after feeling the guidance, she still came to join in the fun. Lin Yuan, who was sitting on the golden throne of the Leo constellation, looked at the 6 people who had received guidance and nodded. It seemed that Bupa and Warren had survived. Before Lin Yuan could say anything, Bupa spoke with gratitude. Lion, because of your help, my elder sister has escaped from the abyss of suffering. I have also become a Class 3 Creation Master. I'm Mother Earth now. I heard from the Heavenly Mother who tested me that she wants to take me to see the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother is very likely to accept me as a disciple. When Bupa saw Lin Yuan, it was as if she had seen a family member. She told him her experience without any scruples. Bei Su and Trey did not react to Bupo's words. With Bei Su and Trey's information reserves, they had never heard of Earth Mother, Heavenly Mother, or the Divine Mother. However, Xueqi, who was a Dark Envoy, and Azure Envoy, were not unfamiliar with the Divine Mother Federation. They were no strangers to the Divine Mother Federation, which had Class 5 Creation Masters. Chapter 1524. As a navigator, Warren had also heard that it was not far from the Storm Federation. The Federation's combat power was abnormally strong. The appearance of a 14 or 15-year-old Class 3 Creation Master would definitely cause a commotion in the Mother Goddess Federation. Even if it appeared in the Dark 7 States and the Azure Federation, it would still be shocking. He immediately received the attention of the higher-ups. If this youth named Bupa could become a Class 3 Creation Master at such a young age, Bupa wouldn't be able to do so. There was at least an 80% chance that he would become a disciple of the Divine Mother. Of course, this was only possible in the Mother Goddess Federation. That was because the Mother Goddess Federation was like a machine that was perfectly fitted together. Every step of the operation would be reported to the Mother Goddess. There would be no accidents or mistakes. If it was the Azure Federation or the Dark 7 States, Bupa might have been secretly hidden by some force and kept to be nurtured. Or perhaps he had attracted the jealousy of others on his path of growth and was assassinated. Lin wanted to befriend both Bupa and Xueqi. Both of them were surprised by the value of being a member of the Celestial Council. Among these few people, there were actually so many envoys of the Federation. If it continued to develop, the Heavenly Body Council would probably become a miniature assembly of 10,000 states. Bupa, who was thanking Lin Yuan, suddenly burst into tears for some reason. After getting Lin Yuan's help, Bupa was no longer as bitter as before. He and his sister were living a life that they had never dared to imagine in the past. It was also because of this that Bupo's mood was so agitated after seeing Lin Yuan. Warren knelt on both knees and kowtowed to Lin Yuan devoutly. Leo, Libra, I've already established the fledgling Voyage Guild. After this, I will do my best to gather the fleet together. Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan thought to himself. Warren was definitely a career-oriented person. In just a short 7 days, he had already established the basic structure of his force. Trey came to Bupo's side from the moment her tears fell. Step up to comfort Amber. Seeing that Bupa was no longer crying, Trey said to Lin Yuan. Master, Grandpa caught a group of rockhorn camels in the wasteland. When these rockhorn camels run, they are more than twice as fast as we normally run. In another 27 or 28 days, I will be able to reach the border of the Divine Wood Federation. There were less than 20 days left before the Radiance 100 sequence selection. After the Radiance 100 sequence selection, he would let Xueqi meet with Trey. Then they would apply for the territory at the border. Over at Bei Su's side, it was still the same. However, with Lin Yuan's help, Bei Su had become a creation master. The grade and quality of his subordinate source-type items had improved. The current Bei Su was no longer dragging a bunch of fuel bottles into battle. These oil bottles all had combat strength, and they were more than enough to help Bei Su. When the Celestial Council was about to end, Lin said softly to Lin Yuan, I still have 12 days before I can reach the Radiance Federation. The Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission is also traveling with me. On the way here, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission wanted to form an alliance with us, but I rejected them. Upon hearing Lin's words, the expressions on Lin Yuan and Wen Yu's faces changed significantly. Before Lin could finish her words, Lin paused for a moment before continuing. The Freedom Federation's envoy team must be plotting something against Hui Yao. It's just that I'm not sure what this idea is. In addition, You have to be careful of a source-type item called Cocoon Demon Embryo. Fortunately, I managed to keep the 12 Cocoon Demon Embryos that they traded with me. But we can't rule out the possibility that they have more cocooned demon embryos in their hands. Lin Yuan and Wan Yu looked at each other. Obviously, they had never heard of something like a cocoon demon embryo. It was no wonder, as the Radiance Federation and the Freedom Federation had always been enemies. However, the Azure Federation, the Radiance Federation, and the Freedom Federation had established diplomatic relations. The Azure Federation naturally had a better understanding of the Freedom Federation's situation than the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan attached great importance to Lin's information. It was expected that the Freedom Federation's envoys would cause trouble during the Radiance 100 sequence selection. At that time, it would definitely be a head-on clash, and there would be no tricks to speak of. However, the Freedom Federation's diplomatic mission would choose to ally with the Azure Federation's diplomatic mission. The original conflict between the two federations was dragged into a third federation. It seemed like the movement of the Freedom Federation's diplomatic corps would be very big. Lin would deliberately remind him to be careful of source-type items like cocooned demon embryos. Lin Yuan felt that he had to ask about the demon embryo's function. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Lin explained in detail. The cocoon demon embryo is a special source-type item that can cause insect-type carcinoma phase to mutate and gain intelligence. Break through the restraints of the original rank, comprehend the willpower rune, and continuously evolve toward a fantasy breed and myth breed. At this point, Lin had already explained the dangers of cocooning demon embryos. However, when Lin Yuan and Wen Yu heard Lin's explanation, their eyes lit up. The cocoon demon embryo was a source-type item tailor-made for Lu Jie. Lu Jie's current fighting style was no longer just controlling the insect queen. Most of them relied on the insect queen to control those insect-type carcinoma phase. This made Lu Jie different from ordinary spirit chi professionals. Instead, it was more like a catastrophe engine. Controlling an insect-type carcinoma fae to fight might be powerful, but it wasn't the same as controlling an insect fae. However, this kind of strength was only targeted at the environment, not at a single individual. As a result, when Lu Jie fought against prodigies with multiple fays, he had no advantage at all. No matter how strong the insect queen was, it was still an insect-type source-type life form. However, if he had the cocoon transformation demon embryo, he would be able to break through all of his insect species carcinoma phase. It could be used as a fae. Such a Lu Jie was terrifying. Lin Yuan and Wen Yu could already predict what a terrifying humanoid disaster Lu Jie would become. The demon embryo cocoon was the opportunity that Lu Jie had been waiting for. According to what Lin had just said, there were a total of 12 cocooned demon embryos. And they were all in Lin's hands. Lin Yuan said to Lin very seriously, "I'm very interested in the 12 cocoon demon embryos in your hands. I wonder if I can trade with you?" Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, Lin replied subconsciously, "Lion, I'll just give it to you directly. These things are useless in my hands." However, the matter of cocooning the demon embryo is of great importance. It's not appropriate for me to stay in the listening heron chamber of commerce. Once the person in charge is negligent, it is very likely to bring disaster to the Radiant sect. That's why, Lion, I want to meet you and personally hand you the cocooned demon embryo. Chapter 1525. Su Iran pursed her lips at Lin's words. To Su Iran, Lin was beyond saving. It was clearly a deal, but you didn't want anything in return. You just wanted to meet her face. From Su Iran's point of view, Lin, this Azure envoy, was a little silly. However, Su Iran had forgotten that she also wanted to see Lin Yuan. That was why he came to the Celestial Body Council to join in the fun. Upon hearing Lin's words, Lin Yuan hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, let's meet at the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce." Upon hearing that, Lin's eyes flashed with a trace of anticipation, excitement, and nervousness. The star-studded banquet came to an end in Lin's anticipation. After the heavenly body meeting ended, Lin Yuan continued to enhance phase as usual. He was seeking to break through as a spirit chi professional. At the same time, he observed Chimey and Genius. In these few days, Miao Zhinshan's heart fell from the clouds to the bottom of the valley. Finally, it sank into the bottomless abyss. The Miao family's beast creation garden was prepared to rebuild its glory with the blood of the 7 old families. Within 4 days, he had arranged 7 Blood Oath extreme battles. The Miao family's beast creation garden was already notorious. Miao Zhinshan was not afraid that the Miao family's beast creation garden would bear even more notoriety. The resources of the 7 veteran factions, together with the new emperor-level experts of the Miao family's beast creation garden, it was enough for the Miao family's beast creation garden to recover to its peak. Moreover, Lin Yuan had already spoken before. Miao Zhinshan refused to believe that Sky City would help these veteran powers if he did not provoke them. But Miao Zhinshan never thought that things would really develop in a direction that he couldn't believe. In the first Blood Oath extreme battle, the Miao family's beast creation garden had already lost 3 emperor-class experts. The Miao family's beast creation garden had once again become the laughingstock of the entire Radiance Federation. Even the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple became a topic of discussion on the Star Web again. Miao Zhinshan's first reaction was to contact Lin Yuan. However, Miao Zhinshan found that Lin Yuan's phone could no longer be reached. Another 2 days passed, and the Miao family lost 12 emperor-level experts in a row. More than half of the great emperor-level powerhouses of the Miao family had been killed. These were the foundations of the Miao family's beast creation garden. At this moment, Miao Zhinshan's heart was suddenly filled with regret. Since he could not contact Lin Yuan, Miao Zhinshan could only contact the other top factions that had established relations with the Miao family's beast creation garden. He wanted to ask these top forces for help. In the end, these top forces directly shed all pretense of cordiality with Miao Zhinshan. Fuck. The black figure sent by Sky City was clearly at the peak stage of the god of creation. He had even touched the undying level. Sky City was once known as the 4th most powerful force in the world. You want us to help because we have too many emperor-level experts in our faction. Sending them to their deaths? What a black-hearted maggot. Miao Zhinshan, who could not receive any help, had no choice but to contact Sky City. In the end, there was no response at all. Miao Zhinshan couldn't get in touch with Sky City, so he went to contact the veteran forces that he had been targeting. He hoped that those old powers would join him in dissolving the Blood Oath extreme duel. He would compensate them after the event. In the end, all of these veteran forces firmly refused. Miao Zhinshan, who had no idea what to do, sat powerlessly in the old house of the Miao family. On the 3rd day, they lost another 6 emperor-level experts. On the 4th day, Miao Zhinshan was no longer prepared to send any emperor-level experts. It would be fine if any 3 of them went to their deaths. As long as he was still alive, no veteran faction would have the guts to come and settle the score. Unexpectedly, on the 4th day, which was the 7th Blood Oath extreme duel's defeat, the veteran faction that won brought their men to the old house of the Miao family's beast creation garden. Just as Miao Zhinshan was about to counterattack, a black figure flashed by. The Miao family's beast creation garden, which had continued to write for hundreds of years, had officially come to an end. As a pinnacle emperor-level expert, Miao Zhinshan had become the 5th humanoid weapon. He had become the 5th humanoid weapon controlled by Red Thorn's tongue of relinquish. Lin Yuan's days were peaceful and prosperous. Now, he could almost do it without paying attention to what was happening outside the window. He constantly enhanced his phase while watching Genius and Chimey constantly grow. More and more golden patterns appeared on Chimey's azure blue feathers. Chimey flapped its wings. These golden patterns would vibrate and let out a clear cry. It was like plucking the strings of a lute and playing with the lute. Genius's changes were on its tails. Previously, Genius had 8 pure white tails growing on its back. Now, Genius's 8 tails had extended again. However, the ends of the extended tails were no longer fur but spiritual energy. After communicating with Genius, Lin Yuan realized that Genius could now use its 8 tails like it was using its hands. This allowed Genius to use its 8 tails and spiritual energy to form a palm when concocting spirit fluids. This increased the speed of concocting spirit fluids. Genius could even split its 8 tails into groups of 2. Every 2 tails would form a group, and with the spiritual energy palm, it could concoct 5 types of spirit fluids at the same time. Of course, these 5 types of spirit fluids must be of the same type. If it were to concoct 5 different types of spirit fluids at the same time, there might be a chance of success, but the probability of failure would undoubtedly be much higher. Over the past few days, Purple Firmament hadn't gone to the swamp world. Instead, he lay listlessly on the Jasmine Lily, which had been upgraded to Diamond X/Fantasy V. She saw that the other companion's quality had improved, but her quality had not changed. She couldn't help but feel anxious, but there was nothing she could do. How could the Nirvana butterfly be so easy to find? Lin Yuan had been comforting Purple Firmament for the past few days. As the most beautiful fae in the world, when had Purple Firmament ever suffered such a blow? Lin Yuan's comfort was simply not enough to restore Purple Firmament's vitality. Instead, it made Purple Firmament increasingly feel that she was useless. Now, even those withered heavenly fragrance beauty butterflies could play a role. However, he rarely had a chance to use it in battle. Recently, Lu Jie had gone to the land of spirit suppression for seclusion, and there was no chef in the mansion. Wen Yu originally wanted to shoulder the responsibility of a chef. However, the dishes cooked by Wen Yu were difficult for him to swallow. She simply ordered takeout from the Spirit Food Pavilion. This allowed the Mother of Bloodbath, which occasionally changed its taste, to discover a new world. It was not that Lu Jie's usual cooking was not as good as the Spirit Food Pavilion's. In the Mother of Bloodbath's heart, Lu Jie's cooking was the best in the world. However, Lu Jie's cooking was tiring, and the Mother of Bloodbath could not fill its stomach. As a myth-breed fae, no matter how much Lu Jie cooked, the Mother of Bloodbath could easily eat it. Moreover, it was in a hurry to eat and digest. Eating was just a way for the Mother of Bloodbath to satisfy its appetite. Chapter 1526. The Mother of Bloodbath, who had discovered the delivery function, placed orders in the Spirit Food Pavilion like flowing water. Half of the dishes made by the chefs of the Imperial Capital's Spirit Food Pavilion were probably sent to the return from faraway manor. He felt that if he introduced Zhao Xiaochun to the Mother of Bloodbath, the two of them would definitely become the best foodie partners. On this day, Lin Yuan was eating downstairs as usual. The glow-winged butterflies living in the purple sandalwood longevity fish tank and spirit-containing hibiscus were flying in the house as usual. The glow-winged butterfly's skill had the ability to remove dust. It could be said that the glow-winged butterfly had always been the most diligent housekeeper in the manor. The glow-winged butterflies fluttering in the manor were already a scene that everyone was used to seeing. Very few people would look at these glow-winged butterflies again. While eating the takeaway, the bored Lin Yuan wanted to take a look at the 5 fortune ranchu in the red sandalwood longevity fish tank. At that moment, Lin Yuan keenly noticed that a cluster of spirit-containing hibiscuses on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank had withered. That shouldn't be the case. Although the 3-tailed dragon phoenix landscape carps had been placed in the hidden flood dragon lake, the 5 fortune ranchu was still in the fish tank. After such a long time, Lin Yuan would place his hand on the red sandalwood longevity fish tank and inject pure spirit qi into it. This vat of 5 fortune ranches had already reached bronze X/epic. The spiritual energy released by the 99 bronze/epic 5 fortune ranches was already comparable to the spiritual energy content of a 2-star spirit liquid. Under the nourishment of this level of spirit qi, the spirit-containing hibiscuses had no reason to wilt. He decided to check out the situation. As a result, just as Lin Yuan approached and was about to touch this withered spirit-containing hibiscus with his hand, a dark red figure flew out from the withered spirit-containing hibiscuses. There was an obvious sense of fierceness and loneliness on this figure. However, this figure did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it circled around Lin Yuan and hesitated for a moment. Finally, it tentatively landed on Lin Yuan's collar and met his gaze. Its body was dark red, and its wings were like phoenix feathers. There were flame patterns in the shape of annual rings on its butterfly wings. This completely matched the appearance of the Nirvana sea butterfly. Originally, Lin Yuan did not know much about the Nirvana butterfly. However, during this period of time, in order to improve Purple Cloud's quality and restore its confidence, Lin Yuan had not given up. He looked through all the information he could find on the Nirvana butterfly. He also used his connections to ask others to help him search for the Nirvana sea butterfly. But so far, Lin Yuan had not gotten any valuable feedback. He used Morbius' exclusive ability, True Data, to check on the red butterfly on his shoulder. Fey name, Nirvana Abyss Butterfly, Spirit Species, Scale Butterfly/Swallowtail, Fey Grade, Bronze, 7/10, Fey Type, Fire/Spiritual, Fey Quality, Flawless Skills Frowny Face Scale Fire, flaps its wings to scatter scale powder. When activated, the scale powder can quickly ignite into flames and set all targets on fire. Quenching Reinforcement. Use scale powder to form a quenching layer on the surface of the shield. The quenching layer can resist non-water damage, and at the same time, Increase the defensive capabilities of the tempered shield. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Rebirth from the Flames. When killed, as long as there is a flame from the scale powder, the target can be reborn from the flame. At first glance, Lin Yuan found that this red butterfly was really the Nirvana Sea Butterfly. It really didn't take any effort to find it. He had searched hard, but there had been no news. It turned out that what he was looking for had already appeared in the mansion. Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the different glowing winged butterfly he had found before. At that time, he seemed to have found a glowing winged butterfly and was about to check it out. In the end, he was disturbed by something. That glowing winged butterfly must be this Nirvana Sea Butterfly. During the process of the glowing winged butterfly's metamorphosis into the Nirvana Sea Butterfly, its original wood-type energy would turn into fire-type. As a wood-type fae, the glowing winged butterfly was very afraid of fire-type energy. This made the glowing winged butterfly very resistant to contact with the Nirvana Sea Butterfly, and not dare to get close to it. This was the real reason why the Nirvana Sea Butterfly had left the group. Through the records, Lin Yuan learned that the Nirvana Sea Butterfly had a very fiery temper. It liked to cast scale powder on other targets and ignite them. Now, the Nirvana Sea Butterfly did not attack Lin Yuan. Instead, it showed a close attitude toward him. It meant that this Nirvana Sea Butterfly still remembered Lin Yuan's kindness in strengthening it. Lin Yuan raised his hand, and the Nirvana Sea Butterfly on his shoulder suddenly flew up. It landed firmly on Lin Yuan's fingertips. Seeing red butterfly on his fingertips, Lin Yuan was overjoyed. Firstly, purple firmament's quality could be smoothly improved. Secondly, Xueqi had a new fae. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly's normal ability, Scale Fire, could make it a fanatic that attracted fire everywhere. If the Nirvana Sea Butterfly wanted to, it could release scale powder in the mansion in the middle of the night. The house, which was surrounded by completely jade-textured wood, would burn in an instant. As the Nirvana Sea Butterfly's strength increased, the scale fire's power would become stronger. Moreover, the ignition effect was to urge the target's energy to burn. It would consume the target's energy. When the Nirvana Sea Butterfly was powerful to a certain extent, the scale fire it released could even ignite a river. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly's exclusive skill, Born from Flames, was very compatible with the normal ability, Scale Fire. As a butterfly fae of the scale butterfly species, the scale powder on its wings could be easily regenerated. If the scale powder fell within a certain range, even if the Nirvana Sea Butterfly was killed by a powerful enemy, it could still use the fire ignited by the scale powder to revive. It was a kind of fae that could be indestructible in a special way. Of course, the Nirvana Sea Butterfly also had a natural enemy. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly, which relied on burning its scale powder to revive, was most afraid of fighting in the sea and other environments when it was not strong enough. As long as the Nirvana Sea Butterfly was not strong enough to ignite the seawater, the scattered scale powder would be washed away by the current. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly would not have the chance to born from flames. Ice-type faes were also the Nirvana Sea Butterfly's nemesis. Igniting ice was much more difficult than igniting water. Moreover, in an extremely cold environment, the scale powder ignited was easier to extinguish. The reason Lin Yuan decided to make the Nirvana Sea Butterfly Xueqi's fourth fae was not because of its normal ability and exclusive heat. It was because of the Nirvana Sea Butterfly's elite ability, Ice Quench Reinforcement. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly was a defense-type fae. There were no standard defense-type faes among Xueqi's current contracted faes. Regardless of whether it was the yellow jadeite golden butterfly or the acne crystal clam that she was about to contract, they could all apply a shield. The Nirvana Sea Butterfly's quenching reinforcement could effectively enhance these shields. At the same time, the surface of the quenched shield could be aggressive. When used on the obsidian iron wild bull, it could make it more reckless. This kind of quenching ability was also very compatible with the burning sunflower twins. The two of them could enhance each other. Chapter 1527. The most important reason was that this Nirvana show butterfly was beautiful enough. With this Nirvana butterfly and acne crystal muscle, she would definitely be able to take off the title of Iron Ox Princess. Lin Yuan returned to the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone with the Nirvana Obsidian Butterfly. Seeing the Nirvana Butterfly, Zi Xiao immediately perked up. The moment Zi Xiao saw the Nirvana Butterfly also noticed Zi Xiao. Butterfly species faes all had the characteristic of pursuing beauty. This Nirvana butterfly had already begun to circle around the purple firmament. He had turned from a cold and aloof fellow into a bootlicker. The Nirvana butterfly was one of the top 3 butterfly bloodlines. Including the slaughter sky butterfly, he had already mastered 2 of the 3 supreme butterfly species bloodlines. Without needing Lin Yuan to say anything, Purple Firmament had already let the Nirvana butterfly absorb the spirit chi in the spirit lock spatial zone and rapidly secrete the scale powder. Purple Cloud quickly absorbed the powder secreted by the Nirvana butterfly. Following the absorption of the Nirvana butterfly scale powder, Purple Cloud's quality increased at a visible rate. He advanced from Fantasy I to Fantasy II, then Fantasy III. In the end, it was upgraded to Fantasy V. In Lin Yuan's opinion, there was nothing different about the Purple Firmament. She was as beautiful as ever. The Purple Heaven Beauty Butterfly was already at the top of the pyramid in the world of attractiveness. There was no reference for comparison. However, if the current Purple Firmament was compared to the previous Purple Firmament, the Zixiao of the past and the current Zixiao were on completely different levels of existence. If Fantasy I's Purple Cloud was compared to the hotel's Little Pink, the current Fantasy V Purple Firmament was the Luo River's god of Luo. Since it was so beautiful in its fey form, Lin Yuan was very curious about how Purple Firmament, a male butterfly, would look when it transformed into its human form. Now, all of his fays were only lacking Chimey and Genius, which had been upgraded to Fantasy V. He would be able to reach the peak of his strength in a short period of time. After 2 more days of hard work, Lin Yuan, who had enhanced all the fays in the order, finally had some free time. Lin Yuan logged onto Star Web and found that, apart from the popular posts about the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, Sky City, and the Moon Empress Disciple, there were many other popular posts on Star Web's forum. There were also many hot posts about his identity as Black. Lin Yuan could not help but be curious. It had been a while since his identity as Black had shown up. He didn't even challenge the Heaven Stairway. How could it become a hot topic on Star Web? This was simply not right. When Lin Yuan clicked on the post to check, he immediately knew what was going on. It felt like his identity as Black was the result of being spurted out. It was clearly written in the post. Black is no longer worthy of being mentioned in the same breath as Xueqi and Lin Yuan. In the dark and silent months, there was no news at all. If it wasn't an accident, then it was Shang Zhongyong. Talent is just an exaggeration. It was this post that pulled the Star Web netizens' memories of Black. This allowed Black, who had been silent for a long time, to gain a lot of popularity. There were many comments below the post, and they were all attacking the original poster. Light of Tomorrow. Isn't Black going to participate in the Radiance 100 sequence? It should be normal for him to not appear during the preparation for the Radiance 100 sequence, right? Mina Sango. You have to speak with a conscience. No matter what, Black was still a hero who had saved Millstone Town. What are you trying to do by talking about hero? What's the meaning of this? Lost Youth. Black had a winning streak and reached the Celestial Stairway. He possessed a silver/fantasy breed healing type Fae and the legendary blue/purple butterfly. Which of these did not prove Black's talent? Do I have to be seen by others to be considered talented? Can you see the majesties? How dare you say which majesty doesn't have talent and which majesty isn't strong? Brother Qi, I am a male mother, Black is at my house. Thank you, our Black is not going to date with you. In addition to these voices of opposition, there were also some voices of agreement. Undead Rave, Black and Lin Yuan have nothing to compete with in the first place. At most, they can only compete with Xueqi. Everyone has seen Black's strength on the Celestial Stairway. There is no way he can defeat Meng Su. Moreover, Black is wearing a mask. How can you say that Black is younger than Lin Yuan? Mirrored Flowers, Reflected Moon. Xueqi has a bronze/fantasy breed Fae. There is no comparison between a bronze/fantasy breed Fae and a silver/fantasy breed Fae. He did not know why Black kept scamming Xueqi and Lin Yuan. Black's fan club and official Tieba forum had not made any moves despite Black's absence. Tian Ningning did not spread any more information about Black. Gradually, the number of people in the group decreased. There were also fewer people in the Tieba forum. The ones who were always active were the old fans who hated him because of his character. In Black's official fan club, Lu Lang, who was known as Zuan Madman. Filled with righteous indignation, he was talking to the people in the group about this Star Web post. He was ready to pick up the keyboard again and strike hard. However, the counterattack of these few people was simply no match for the massive amount of doubts. Time would always drown some things. For example, Black, who had dominated the topic on Star Web a few months ago. Lin Yuan did not know about this because he did not take the post to heart at all. The Radiance 100 sequence test was about to begin. At that time, as long as he used Black's identity and revealed more strength, he would naturally stand in the center of Star Web's public opinion again. All the doubts would be shattered on their own. Just as Lin Yuan was about to check his purchase with No Lost Stores fan club, he wanted to see what he had gained from the auction of the Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearls. However, before Lin Yuan could check his gains, he was touched by a message in the group. Stream in the cloud. Have you seen this post? Why doesn't Black appear to fight a few celestial stairway duels to shatter these doubts? As an old fan of Black, I feel very uncomfortable, but no matter how much I say, I can't change these doubts. Violent-tempered woman. I can't talk anymore. I'm going to pack up immediately and follow Big Sister Xian to fight Black celestial stairway duels. Zhou Jusin. Look at this post. Anyway, Black will always appear in the Radiance 100 sequence selection. Lin Yuan looked at the post shared by Zhou Jusin and gently clicked on it. It was a group chat message in Black's official fan club. There were tens of thousands of messages, and it was impossible to read them all. However, Lin Yuan could read a special feeling from these messages. It turned out that his identity as Black had unknowingly become a lighthouse in many people's hearts. With so many expectations, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that he had been too lazy to fight the celestial stairway. In fact, it was also a kind of neglect of these people. The power of faith contributed by Black's identity to Lin Yuan was now much less than his identity as the Sky City Lord and the Moon Empress disciple. Even though Black's identity had not appeared for a long time, the light spot of faith belonging to Black in the shrine was still bright. Since they were all waiting for Black's news. Since it was close to the Radiance 100 sequence, Lin Yuan did not mind letting Black show his face to warm up. Chapter 1528. On the one hand, he could use the popularity of this topic to gather some new fans. On the other hand, he could also repay his supporters. Tell them that I'm still here. I'm just working hard in the dark. Lin Yuan exited his Star Web account. He took out his cell phone and called Tian Ningning. Lin Yuan said to Tian Ningning, I'm going to the Celestial Stairway. I'm going to the Celestial Stairway. When Tian Ningning heard that, she immediately exclaimed in surprise. As Black's exclusive reporter, Tian Ningning became an administrator of Black's official fan club. The information she got was many times more than what Lin Yuan saw. Tian Ningning had the thought of looking for Lin Yuan and asking him to appear as Black countless times. But in the end, he rejected all of these ideas. 2 days ago, Tian Ningning had freeloaded a meal at the return from Faraway Manor, and knew how busy Lin Yuan was recently. Even so, Tian Ningning, who treated Black as a kind of faith, watched her faith being slandered. She still felt terrible. Now that she knew Lin Yuan was going to the Celestial Stairway as Black, Tian Ningning immediately said, Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. No matter how many matches you fight, I can write the combat record tonight. Lin Yuan smiled and said, Lin Yuan, share with me a first-person perspective. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. Today's combat record should be very easy to write. You don't need to spend much time. After communicating with Tian Ningning, Lin Yuan logged into Star Web as Black. He arrived at the Star Web Tower and matched them. Lin Yuan had already reached Star 14 on the Celestial Stairway, and most of the opponents he encountered had a Platinum Fae. Occasionally, he would encounter some strong opponents who might have a gold or above fantasy breed Fae. Such strength could be easily dealt with by Lin Yuan in the past. Now, Lin Yuan could easily take out one of his Faes and get rid of such opponents. Even if it was the Jasmine Lily that focused on healing. However, Lin Yuan couldn't summon a few Faes during the Celestial Stairway duels. This included the Jasmine Lily. Once the Jasmine Lily was summoned, it was equivalent to exposing his identity as Lin Yuan. Once Black was exposed, Lin Yuan used Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Purity Burst, to attack the opponent's Fae like a humanoid Fae. Perhaps ordinary people on Star Web wouldn't have any reaction. However, those who participated in the Nyx assembly could still easily guess his identity. Genius transformed into a mask and wore it on his face. Chimey was constantly working hard to improve its quality. Lin Yuan did not wish to waste Chaime's time. After all, compared to genius consuming the spirit wisdom purple Ganoderma to increase its quality, Chaime needed a longer time to increase its quality. Therefore, he was only left with the source sand and the acid corrosion queen bee. He planned to let the Diamond X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fight at the beginning of the battle. He wanted the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee to hone her combat skills through battle. The improvement of the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee's battle technique would help her understand the willpower rune. After Poison Beauty became a contracted live streamer of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce. With the support of the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce, he was now a real live streamer. He no longer needed to be the goalie of the Celestial Stairway and rely on his performance to gain the attention of the fans. Poison Beauty, who relied on the Listening Heron Chamber of Commerce to earn money, used all the money she earned to improve her strength. The phase had been greatly improved based on their previous standards. Among them, Poison Beauty's main phase, the Illusory Mist Jackdaw and the Poison-Weaving Dark Spider, had reached Platinum. They had also found a Creation Master to raise their quality to Epic. Such strength allowed Poison Beauty to still have room for improvement even if she reached the 14th stair of the Celestial Stairway. Ever since she became a live streamer selling luxury goods, Poison Beauty rarely had time to live stream battles on Star Web. However, the rich Poison Beauty did not forget her old fans. She still live streamed outside of work, fighting, scolding, criticizing, commenting, and muting. However, Poison Beauty, who was live streaming again, was no longer performing. Instead, she intended to test where her limits were. After all, she had spent so much money to enhance phase. Wouldn't the money she earned be wasted? However, Poison Beauty did not expect that the Star Web duel she carried out in her spare time would increase the stickiness of her fans. Instead, it increased the stickiness of the fans who paid attention to her because of the luxury goods. Poison Beauty, who was matched with an opponent, planned to say harsh words as usual when she was matched with an opponent in a while. She wanted to play with the mentality of a team player. It would also make the audience in her live streaming room more passionate. However, when she saw that the person she was matched with was wearing a silver mask, she was not the only one stunned. Even the audience in Poison Beauty's live streaming room was stunned. It was not that no one on Star Web wore a silver mask during a Star Web duel. It was just that the popularity of the black mask had been decreasing recently. There were also fewer and fewer people imitating it. Furthermore, most of the people who could fight their way to the Celestial Stairway were experts. Experts all hoped to fight in their own style and have their own unique label. Therefore, such imitations were very rare on the Celestial Stairway. Blue Wind and Rain are. This person isn't black, right? Although he is not wearing black clothes, his figure and height are definitely black. If Lin Yuan could see the comments in Poison Beauty's live streaming room, he would definitely roll his eyes. Humph. You are simply spouting nonsense. Putting aside the fact that Lin Yuan had grown taller in the past few months. Lin Yuan had consumed the geocentric jade milk, and his entire figure and aura had obviously changed. The female audience in the live streaming room had already noticed this. Lonely little dumb fish. No. This person is definitely of the highest quality just by looking at his figure. Can't you see that our anti-poison is already smitten? World weariness. Anti-poison, quickly come back to your senses. Take a look at the other party's information. Is he black? Even if you don't want to be curious, we still want to know. Smiling and not saying anything. If he is really black, I suggest Beauty and Black get married on the spot. He was able to be matched 3 times on the Celestial Stairway, and that was when Black rarely fought on the Celestial Stairway. He was simply a lover for 3 lifetimes. Poison Beauty faced the silver-masked figure. She could clearly feel the aura of the silver-masked figure in front of her. Poison Beauty was very familiar with the aura of the silver-masked figure in front of her. Poison Beauty had only felt such a unique aura from one person. This person was Black. Just as Poison Beauty was about to check the opponent's information with a perturbed mood, she heard the figure standing opposite her speak in a cold voice. Long time no see. Upon hearing this voice, Poison Beauty was sure that the person in front of her was definitely Black. However, Poison Beauty still clicked on the information. Poison Beauty, who had already confirmed the opponent's identity, clicked on the information, but it was not for her to see. It was for the audience in the live streaming room to see. Chapter 1529. At that moment, Poison Beauty could not help but want to kneel on the ground and thank Black. This was already the third time Black had brought her popularity. He was still at the cusp of the storm. Black's appearance and once again facing Poison Beauty's unique skill made the audience in the live streaming room exclaim. Soon, the news of Black's appearance spread from Poison Beauty's live streaming room at the speed of the divine travel Black Swallow. Poison Beauty wanted to stall for time and wait for her live streaming room's popularity to rise a little before starting the duel. However, Lin Yuan did not want to give her this opportunity. With a Diamond X/Fantasy breed Fae, he could easily reach the 80th step of the Celestial Stairway. Since Lin Yuan planned to expose the Diamond X/Legend Acid Corrosion Queen Bee and the Diamond X/Fantasy V Source Sand, Lin Yuan was going to climb from the 14th stair to the 80th stair tonight. Therefore, he did not have time to waste on Poison Beauty. Poison Beauty's plan to use Black to rise in popularity again could only end in vain. A large number of viewers poured into Poison Beauty's live streaming room at every moment. These viewers were frantically spamming the bullet screen. In just a few minutes, the number of Poison Beauty's fans had soared by more than 3 times. Money short of 5 elements. It's really Black. I'm an old fan who has been Black for 6 months. He didn't come out before, but he showed up after being scolded. Is this Black hinting to us to increase our efforts? Passerby. Ah, Black finally appeared. How many months has it been? Windflower Xiaoya. As long as Black fights the Celestial Stairway duel, the Celestial Stairway video library can update Black's battle videos again. I have a new video to watch again. Inexhaustible Loneliness. Black suddenly appeared. Is he trying to prove something? If he can't show the strength that Lin Yuan used to defeat Meng Su, even if he can defeat Poison Beauty, it won't prove anything. Contrarian Little Strawberry. Did anyone come to my live streaming room to bet? How many matches will Black duel? The more matches I bet, the more I'll lose. There were all kinds of bullet screen comments. Poison Beauty's heart was abnormally excited when she saw these boiling bullet screens. At that moment, she heard Black standing opposite her say, "Summon your Fae. Summon the Fae. If you don't summon your Fae within 3 seconds, I will have no choice but to attack you." Upon hearing that, Poison Beauty waved her hand and summoned her Platinum 6/Epic Illusory Mist Jackdaw and Platinum 9/Epic Poison Weaving Dark Spider. At the same time, he had the Illusory Mist Jackdaw and Poison Weaving Dark Spider spit out illusory mist and poisonous spiderwebs to form a defensive structure. On one side, a person hid in the fog, and no one knew what he had summoned. However, it was clear that he had already taken up a defensive stance. Poison Beauty was only thinking about delaying for as long as she could. The longer he dragged it out, the more attention he would gain. At the same time, Poison Beauty knew how much she had improved during this period of time. Therefore, Poison Beauty couldn't help but have the thought of having a good fight with Black in her heart. At that moment, Poison Beauty heard Black speak from outside the fog. "Since you've taken up your stance, then let the battle begin." Just as the voice outside the fog finished, Poison Beauty was about to say something to stall for time. A buzzing sound rang out. Poison Beauty didn't have time to react. He did not even see what Fae had attacked his Illusory Mist Cold Night and Poison Weaving Dark Spider. The entire duel came to an end. After that, Lin Yuan's Celestial Stairway automatically rose to the 15th stair. At random, Lin Yuan chose to match again. Under Lin Yuan's attack, Poison Beauty's Star Web live streaming room paused for a few seconds. Then, the bullet screen started rolling at the speed of light. Follow heart. What just happened? Did any of you see it clearly? Scar of the Moon. I think it's a dark red insect. It looked like a bee species Fae, but he couldn't see anything else. Colorless flower. Is there any creation master that can tell me what Fae Black is using? Why hadn't Black used it before? The bullet screen of Poison Beauty's live stream was obviously not a good place to communicate. The messages that were sent a second ago had been squeezed out of the hundreds in the next second. Previously, when they were in the Heaven Stairway duel in Black, many scholars, Fae observers, spiritual ingredient analysts, and even creation masters were secretly observing Black's Fae. Among them, a Pinnacle Class 3 creation master, who had rushed over to watch the duel between Poison Beauty and Black, opened a post on the forum. The post's title was simple and crude. Black's insect species Fae is at Diamond X/Legend. This Pinnacle Class 3 creation master had made a general analysis of the insect species Fae Black was using through his observation. This analysis post quickly became a trending post on the star web. Many people left comments under the post. Existence is reasonable. Diamond X/Legend Fae? Isn't this already the pinnacle standard of the younger generation? Is Black so strong? Galaxy. Black can contract a Diamond Fae. Could Black be a king-class expert? Salted Fish Legend. I also realized this. Wasn't Black's age said to be below 20 years old? How can he become an A-rank spirit chi professional under 20 years old? Therefore, Black can't be a king-class expert. Kite Broken String. For a Y-grade Fae to be able to do this, it seems that Black should be a disciple of a major faction. Win Chi. What's there to guess? In a while, when a more powerful big shot comes out with an analysis post, I just want to know if Black has carried out the next Celestial Stairway duel. If he has, can I request for a live streaming room link? Just as everyone was guessing if Black had carried out the next Celestial Stairway duel, a very detailed analysis post about Black appeared on the Starweb forum. As soon as this post appeared, it immediately surpassed the other posts. It became the top post for Black's topic. This was because this post was written by a Class 4 creation master. Class 4 creation masters rarely appeared and posted posts to dig up a certain Fae. There were 3 points in the post. First, this Diamond X/Legend insect species was not a Fae but a source-type life form. Second, this insect species source-type life form had been used by Black to fight against the Dragon Gate Guild Club's reserve member, Chen Hongfeng. It was this insect species that had opened a big hole in the abdomen of the gold smooth-toothed dragon lizard a few months ago. Third, this insect species source-type life form was an assassin-type existence and had very strong offensive power. At the end of the post, the Class 4 creation master added, Duan Li, watching this phase growth, I know that Black's strength will definitely exceed everyone's imagination. Duan Li, don't forget that Black has more than one fantasy breed Fae. Apart from that healing-type Fae, there is also a blue bird. The person who posted this post was none other than Master Duan Li from the Purchase with No Loss Stores fan club. Chapter 1530. The group had been talking about Black recently, so Master Duan Li decided to find out more about him. She happened to see the live stream today. Facing such a young talent, and a Radiance hero at that, Duan Li felt that she should voice out her support. With such strength, he was indeed worthy of her support. The true top experts of the younger generation were probably only as strong as him. If Black had a sacred source life form, he would be able to stand up to the top experts of the younger generation. Such a person should not be slandered. Duan Li could already foresee how dazzling Black would be in the Radiance 100 sequence test. Master Duan Li's post shocked the netizens on the galactic web. It also excited Black's fans. Be it the netizens or Black's old fans, they all exclaimed in their hearts. How could Black be so strong? Did he eat Jinkala? When everyone found Black's tracks again in a live broadcast room, they were shocked. They suddenly realized that Black had gone from Celestial Stairway 15 stars when he defeated Poison Beauty to Celestial Stairway 22 stars now. It was hard to imagine how Black had won 7 consecutive Celestial Stairway duels in less than 20 minutes. Excluding the matching and entry protection time, could it be that every match took less than 10 seconds? The duel on the 22nd floor was still won by the B source-type life form. This star web streamer, who was lucky enough to meet Lin Yuan, had a lack of phase. Even when he reached the Celestial Stairway, his reputation was still mediocre. But now, because of Black's popularity, his fans had skyrocketed by nearly 10 times. The star web streamers who realized this, even when they were off the air, they all opened their live stream rooms and started star web matchmaking. They were all looking forward to being lucky enough to match Black. Even if they were killed by Black in one move. No matter how pathetic they were, as long as they met, they would be the topic in popularity. What Lin Yuan did not know was that he had become a gold ingot in the eyes of many star web streamers. Everyone wanted to hug him. Xiang Yang was not a veteran streamer in the star web streamer circle. There were streamers who streamed star web battles from his first battle in the Star Tower all the way to the 50th and 60th floor of the Celestial Stairway. From his youth all the way to his middle age. Xiang Yang had only streamed for 5 or 6 months and had gained a lot of popularity. Firstly, it was because Xiang Yang was eloquent and could easily stir up the atmosphere of the audience during a battle. Secondly, Xiang Yang was a former Radiance 100 sequence member. Although Xiang Yang had failed in the Radiance 100 sequences selection last year, he had not been selected. However, he was still a Radiance 100 sequence member. Those who had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence would be eliminated later on. He could still prove his talent. In Xiangyang's eyes, the Radiance 100 sequence members were all old coins. Everyone was trying their best to hide their strength. The Radiance 100 sequence members sometimes had to cooperate with the Starweb's publicity and conduct celestial stairway duels in public. However, during the duel, he did not even pull out his main Fey. He had even used the Fey that he had used during his first appearance on Starweb as his signature Fey to show to the audience. When watching the Radiance 100 sequence members' celestial stairway duels, they could only see a celebrity effect. Don't even think about getting anything out of it. This allowed Xiangyang, who had just started streaming the stairway duels, to find a direction to stream. Xiangyang first displayed his strength and fought his way to the 50th step of the stairway to heaven. He had revealed a part of his trump card. Then he started to sink. After sinking to the 20th step of the celestial stairway, Xiangyang started to teach the audience in the live streaming room. He used this teaching method to gain a large number of die-hard fans. At that moment, Xiangyang was also matching like the other Starweb live streamers. He was chatting with the audience in the live streaming room. During the duel in a while, I will teach you how to use the tiger species phase aura in battle. Maple blows fallen leaves. Big Brother Yang, if your opponent doesn't have a beast species Fey, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger's aura will be useless. Upon seeing the bullet comments, Xiangyang smiled and replied, "It doesn't matter if the opponent doesn't have a beast species Fey. As long as it is a Fey with intelligence, it will be affected by the aura. This is also why dragon species, tiger species, and phoenix species Feys are so popular." Ink of Memories. Yang, Black is matching at the 20th step of the celestial stairway. Do you think he will get you? Upon hearing that, Xiangyang replied with a chuckle. It will be great if he can get me. I have seen the post you guys shared in the live streaming room just now. A Diamond X/Legend insect type source type lifeform strength is about the same as a Platinum X/Fantasy I Fey. I might not be able to beat Black, but my Golden Spear Battle Tiger should be able to fight with him for a while. Passing high school student. Yang, you are too modest. Your Golden Spear Battle Tiger is a Platinum V/Fantasy II Fey. It has speed, attack, and defense. If you really fight, that insect type source type lifeform is not your match at all. Growing all the way. Yang, you were a Radiance 100 sequence member previously, and Black is also going to compete for a Radiance 100 sequence position. What do you think are Black's chances of being selected? Xiangyang did not reply to the first question. Firstly, the Golden Spear Battle Tiger might not be his strongest Fey, but it was already considered one of his trump cards. Black's insect-type source-type lifeform was obviously just the tip of the iceberg that Black had exposed. Black had the ability to promote this insect-type source-type lifeform to Diamond X/Legend. That way, he would be able to upgrade his 2 fantasy breed Feys to Diamond as well. Diamond/Fantasy breed Feys were the standard of the Radiance 100 sequence's top 30. Xiangyang did not think that he could defeat Black. However, Xiangyang was not stingy with his praises for the following questions. Black entering the Radiance 100 sequence can be said to be a done deal. Just the strength that Black has displayed now is enough to compare with his strength in previous years. However, I wonder what the Radiance 100 sequence's test reform will be like this year. In the Starweb competition, some phase advantages will disappear, and some phase disadvantages will turn into advantages. In the Starweb competition, everyone could go all out. There was no need to consider the risks that the battle would bring to the phase. This made some Feys that exhausted their vitality to fight above their grade become bombs that could easily be detonated. In the real competition, for the safety of their Feys, no Spirit Chi professional would easily detonate this bomb. However, on the Starweb, there was no need to worry when it was activated. This would cause Feys like the Golden Spear Battle Tiger, which was 3-dimensional but did not have explosive abilities, to be collectively weakened. Chapter 1531. Of course, Xiangyang could only think about it in his heart and not say it out loud. Suddenly, Xiangyang was matched with an opponent and was pulled into the battle space. At this moment, Xiangyang was surprised to discover something. The opponent he was matched with was actually really Black. Xiangyang waved his hand and summoned the Golden Spear Battle Tiger. He raised his head and said to the audience in the live broadcast room, If black still uses that insect-type source-type life form, the advantage of the golden spear battle tiger will really be useful. Sometimes, might can be fused into an attack to be used. As usual, Xiangyang started teaching in the live stream. At this time, a large number of viewers heard the news and rushed into the live broadcast room. They could not help but recognize him. He was the former Radiance 100 Sequence 94, Xiangyang, who was titled Twin Tigers. Then, he clicked on Xiangyang's follow button. The star web was simply too big. As a second world that carried the Hui Yao and all the ordinary people, the star web was freer. This made it so that even though Xiangyang had started a live broadcast, not many people noticed him. Xiangyang's live stream room had become an entrance to traffic. It attracted the attention of the viewers who discovered this treasure. On Lin Yuan's side, he also realized that he had encountered another host. Lin Yuan had previously checked the Radiance 100 sequence members' information in detail. Lin Yuan recognized that Xiangyang was a former Radiance 100 sequence member. Lin Yuan simply nodded at Xiangyang. Lin Yuan's action startled Xiangyang, and he knew that Lin Yuan had recognized him. He saw that the number of viewers in his live streaming room had increased from a few million to tens of millions. And it was still increasing. Xiangyang waved his hand and summoned his main Fei. An 8-meter-long multicolored tiger roared fiercely. A murderous aura filled the air. The multicolored tiger's might made the platinum/fantasy gold spear battle tiger lose all sense of existence. Upon seeing the Fei that Xiangyang had summoned, Lin Yuan immediately checked it. With a glance, he realized that this Fei was called the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Its strength was at Platinum X/Fantasy 3, and it was considered an outstanding existence among tiger species Feis. Lin Yuan could sense that Xiangyang was a B-rank spirit chi professional. It seemed like Xiangyang had not gone through the roll step. Otherwise, the Fei's strength should be able to reach Diamond easily. Xiangyang did not hesitate to summon his trump card, winning the applause of the audience in the live broadcast room. This made Black's fans extremely excited. They all started to tip Xiangyang's live stream. In the eyes of Black's fans, it was too difficult for Black to do business. Xiangyang's current behavior was equivalent to forcing Black to expose more Feis. Black's insect-type source-type life form was clearly no longer a match for the Platinum X/Fantasy 3 Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger. Lin Yuan looked at Xiangyang's main Fei and had a trace of doubt in his heart. He did not understand why Xiangyang had been eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence with his strength. Even if Xiangyang had made great progress in the past year, he would not be able to do so. 1 year ago, it should not have been difficult to rank in the top 60 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Xiangyang had mixed feelings as he looked at the audience's praises. During the Radiance 100 sequence selection, his Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger had obtained a fortuitous encounter, evolved its bloodline, and fallen into a deep sleep. He could not just rely on the Golden Spear Battle Tiger to fight and be eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence. After the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger was eliminated, Xiangyang was glad that the Southern Mountain Emperor Tiger's bloodline had successfully transformed. It was a pity that after being eliminated from the Radiance 100 sequence, he would only be able to apply for the test again after 1 year. Otherwise, Xiangyang would have appeared in this year's Radiance 100 sequence again. Xiangyang said while looking at Black. Black, I suggest that you open a Star Web live streaming room the next time you fight a Celestial Stairway duel. Right now, almost everyone in my live broadcast room is your fans. They are all looking forward to your duel. I have summoned my trump card. I should be able to use one more Fei than you. Xiangyang raised his head and said to the live stream room. I helped you guys get some benefits. Don't forget to follow me. As soon as Xiangyang finished speaking, someone in the live broadcast room immediately responded. Xuan, got it. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have seen Black on Star Web for half a year. Violent-tempered woman. So can you work harder and force Black to summon another Fei? Upon hearing Xiangyang's words, Lin Yuan shook his wrist. An amber button-like object landed at Lin Yuan's feet. The last time he had used the source sand in the Star Web duel, he had been matched with a wilderness. This time, he was matched with an arena made of green bricks and white tiles. The source sand burrowed into the ground and broke a hole in the floor tiles. Many people noticed the abnormality under Lin Yuan's feet. Lin Yuan still sent out the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee when facing an opponent stronger than the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee. After fighting for a while, he didn't have the chance to replenish his acid-swallowing larvae. The acid corrosion queen bee was soon at a disadvantage. In the end, he was killed by the Southern Mountain Emperor tiger with a single claw strike. In the process of fighting, Lin Yuan spent a lot of time. The acid corrosion queen bee needed to comprehend a willpower rune to advance into a fantasy breed. This kind of evenly matched fight was what the acid corrosion queen bee needed. Therefore, he did not mind wasting this time. There were no more fays in front of Lin Yuan. As long as the Southern Mountain Emperor tiger and the Golden Spear Battle Tiger pounced at Lin Yuan, they could easily kill him. However, Xiang Yang did not order the Golden Spear Battle Tiger and the Southern Mountain Emperor tiger to do so. Instead, he smiled and said, "Black, it's time for you to summon your next fae." Lin Yuan originally planned to wait for Xiang Yang to attack before counterattacking the two tiger species fays. Since Xiang Yang said so, Lin Yuan responded, "Then I'll attack." As soon as Lin Yuan finished speaking, the Southern Mountain Emperor tiger and the Golden Spear Battle Tiger's feet suddenly turned into sand. Two huge palms grabbed the Golden Spear Battle Tiger and the Southern Mountain Emperor tiger. The two giant tigers' bodies collided fiercely with each other. The entire battle ended again. Black's combat power refreshed Xiang Yang's understanding and the Star Web live streaming room's audience's understanding. Walk. My mom asked me why I kneel to eat? I'm stunned. Why does Black always refresh my understanding? Wolf of the North. This is an instant kill. What is the concept of instantly killing two platinum/fantasy breed fays? Someone tell me. Hometown. What are you waiting for? Black Bull coins. Immediately after, Xiang Yang's live streaming room was flooded with Black Bull coins. After Xiang Yang returned to his live streaming room, he recovered from the shock. He also posted Black Bull coins on the bullet screen. Xiang Yang's behavior had attracted many passers-by. At that moment, Master Duan Li, who was watching the live streaming, quickly posted another post about Black's new fae. Chapter 1532. In the post, Master Duan Li pointed out that Black's elemental source-type lifeform was a diamond/fantasy breed. As for the specific grade and quality, Black had not used his full strength. Moreover, he had only used the sand particles controlled by the elemental source-type lifeform, so there was no way to analyze it. Master Duan Li's post revealed two pieces of information. The first was a diamond/fantasy breed. The second was an elemental source-type lifeform. These two pieces of information shocked the Star Web audience. A diamond/fantasy breed was already a match for the top 30 of the Radiance 100 sequence. Black had a diamond/fantasy breed lifeform. Didn't that mean that he had the ability to enter the Radiance 100 sequence in the second year? Was he trying to enter the top 30? Many posts had been clamoring that Black's ability was not as good as Lin Yuan and Xueqi. Now it seemed that Xueqi had a bronze/fantasy breed fae at the age of 15. This kind of talent was still comparable to Black's. However, the strength that Lin Yuan had shown in defeating Meng Su was not enough in front of Black. Lin Yuan's fighting style was the red light that could absorb vitality. However, if Black used the yellow sand to block, the light could not penetrate the yellow sand. The yellow sand itself did not have any vitality for Lin Yuan to absorb. When comparing geniuses, one would always be praised, and the other would be stepped on. This made many of Lin Yuan's fans restless. In addition, many of the veteran factions and top factions recognized Lin Yuan's identity at the Nyx assembly. Looking at Star Web, some people praised Black and stepped on Lin Yuan. The top factions and the younger generation of the veteran factions all made a move. How dare you say that the Moon Empress disciple is not as strong as Black? Black might be strong, but does he have a sacred source life form? Does he have the ability to resist the attack of a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae with just his physical body? Lin Yuan, who was fighting on Star Web, realized that the power of faith of Lin Yuan and Black's identities was rapidly increasing. This made Lin Yuan feel that he could have a few more celestial stairway duels if he had time. From there, he could harvest the power of faith so that Blue could quickly become a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan did not stop and continued to fight. He found that almost all his opponents were Star Web streamers. After all, few people did not want to grasp such a good opportunity. However, no matter how hard they tried, they could not force Lin Yuan to use a second move. Every time the opponent summoned a fae, a giant yellow sand hand would appear and end the battle. In 2 hours, Lin Yuan had gone from the 14th to the 50th celestial stairway. This speed once again refreshed the Star Web's data. And more importantly, until now, Lin Yuan still maintained a winning record. He might not be at the top of Star Tower's Celestial Stairway streak list. However, he had also risen to 6th place. Very few people could achieve 50 consecutive victories on the Heaven Stairway. After all, no one knew what kind of opponent they would be matched with. There were many star web anchors on the Celestial Stairway. He clearly had the ability to fight his way to the 60th or the 70th step, but he was stuck at the 34th step. There were even 20 to 30 floors. Therefore, even the person who ranked first on the Stairway's winning streak leaderboard only had 63 consecutive wins. This was the highest record since the Radiant Star Web had been established. And the one who maintained this winning streak was none other than himself. It was the current Radiance envoy of the Radiant sect, Qi Ruo. Everyone was guessing if Black could break Qi Ruo's Celestial Stairway winning streak. The Celestial Stairway winning streak and the Star Tower winning streak were two different things. The Celestial Stairway's winning streak list was much more valuable than the Star Tower's winning streak list. Once Black broke Qi Ruo's winning streak record, his virtual image would be placed on the Celestial Stairway's celebrity altar. Previously, Lin Yuan had broken the Star Web's record with 100 consecutive wins. His virtual image would only be placed on the bronze altar. For everyone in the Radiant Star Society, being able to place his virtual image on the celebrity altar was a supreme honor. It was a supreme honor. If Black broke Qi Ruo's winning streak record, it would undoubtedly mean that Black's talent was comparable to Qi Ruo's. The veteran faction members and the top faction members who were paying attention to this matter thought to themselves, if Black could break Qi Ruo's record, Black would participate in the Radiance Envoy selection because of this achievement, and he would gain a lot of hidden points. Under the expectations and attention of the Star Web netizens, Lin Yuan once again rode the waves. Xiang Yang could rely on his strength to fight his way to the Celestial Stairway's 50th step. The 50th step's opponent could not cause much pressure to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan had a winning streak and reached the 63rd step. It was still the giant yellow sand hand that easily and neatly ended the battle. On the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list, the name that had stood for a long time, and no one could shake it. Suddenly, it flickered slightly with the second name and exchanged places. At that moment, the people who were paying attention to this duel on StarWeb could not help but have a feeling that they were witnessing history. The person who fought with Black on the 26th Celestial Stairway duel found out later. It turned out that he had actually been written into the Radiance Envoy's history because of this coincidence. It could be said that tonight was a carnival for Black's fans, and it also allowed him to gain more fans. The topic of Black participating in the 100 sequence selection was mentioned again. However, when it was mentioned again, it was no longer about whether Black could be selected into the Radiance 100 sequence. It was about Black's true strength and what rank he could be in the Radiance 100 sequence. This duel that had subverted the entire era was just a small fight to Lin Yuan. Or rather, Lin Yuan did not know about this at all. Lin Yuan continued to duel and found that there was no one who could fight all the way to the 75th step. It seemed that the best way to upgrade the Source Sand to Diamond X/Fantasy V was to use. Even if it was just the explosive power of the compressed sand, it was still enough to defeat a Diamond 3/Fantasy V Fae. From the excitement brought by the rewriting of history, to the excitement brought by the successive changes in history, to the numbness in the end. In the next 2 hours, Black's fans went through all of these experiences once again. They looked at the winning streak behind Black, and the number jumped to 76. Black's fans had long been accustomed to all of this. However, this matter was a major event that shook the entire Star Web. This matter was even reported to the Radiance Sacred Hall, the Radiance Imperial Court, the Spirit Guards, and many other departments at the same time. Just as Lin Yuan finished the 79th step and was ready to match the 80th step, he saw the Star Web officials send him an email. V Star Web. Black, congratulations on breaking the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record. We will create another virtual image for you. Your virtual image will stand on the Celestial Stairway's celebrity list's golden altar. The golden altar was different from the bronze altar. The virtual image of the golden altar included the Fae to control. You can choose 3 or more Faes to configure your virtual avatar. Chapter 1533. In addition, since you have broken the record on the Celestial Stairway's streak list, you can pass a challenge to determine if you can obtain the Sanctuary title. If you accept the challenge, we will arrange your duel in the next round. This duel will be broadcasted live on Star Web. Lin Yuan raised his brows when he saw the email from the Star Web officials. He had come to challenge the Celestial Stairway because he saw so many fans waiting for him. They were all fans. In addition, he felt that he was simply too bored after fighting for so long. Generally, only experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step and above would be arranged by Star Web to take the Sanctuary test, to see if they could obtain the Sanctuary title. Under normal circumstances, those with the Sanctuary title were experts with Diamond X/Fantasy V phase. Of course, there were also some Pinnacle King-class experts who reached the Celestial Stairway's 100th step. They still could not obtain the Sanctuary title. Such people were generally known as the Sanctuary Gatekeepers. Lin Yuan, who was bored, simply agreed to Star Web's arrangement. It was not a bad thing for the last duel to be broadcasted live on Star Web. After receiving Lin Yuan's reply, the person in charge of Star Web immediately replied excitedly. Star Web. Please give Star Web 3 hours of publicity time. 3 hours later, the duel will be arranged at the Starlight Gladiator Arena. At that time, you will be matched with a corresponding opponent. Upon seeing the message from the Star Web officials, Lin Yuan simply logged out of Star Web temporarily. He was going to wait for more than 2 hours before going online for the last duel. Lin Yuan actually did not have many special feelings about winning so many duels in a row. If he had to find an emotion, Lin Yuan felt that so many Celestial Stairway duels should be quite boring. Lin Yuan fought 65 Celestial Stairway duels in a row. The first 30 duels were defeated by the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee in one strike. Later on, the Acid Corrosion Queen Bee fought with the enemy and was killed. Then, Lin Yuan let the Soar Sand attack and defeat the enemy. This feeling was like playing a mobile game. He had to refresh the same map over and over again, and he had to keep watching. Lin Yuan stretched his body and picked up a book on the table to read. Although Genius had comprehended the knowledge willpower rune, Lin Yuan had never abandoned the habit of reading books. Lin Yuan's phase strength had basically been raised to the limit. Unless he broke through as a spirit chi professional, there would be no room for the Fey to be enhanced. Ever since Morbius had fallen asleep, he had not communicated with it for a long time. Right now, he was most eager to comprehend a willpower rune related to the soul. He wanted the psychic whale to become a fantasy breed and have a breakthrough in strength. At that time, Morbius might very well wake up with the opportunity of breaking through to the gold rank. However, he had no clue about the willpower rune related to the soul. At that moment, Lin Yuan was leisurely reading a book as though nothing had happened. However, Star Web was seething because of what Lin Yuan had just done. No matter how many fans followed Black, they were only a small portion of Star Web netizens. As for the Celestial Stairway winning streak leaderboard, it caused the entire Star Web to celebrate. It was no longer just targeting Yuhei. Star Web's famous reporters all sent out related news articles. Star Web streamers who did not have the chance to be blacklisted. He even played the video of the Black duel in his live stream to attract more fans. Black's official fan group was in an uproar. A large number of people entered the group, and the administrator could not review all of them. As a result, Lu Lang, who was usually the most talkative person in the fan group, became mute. He could only keep sifting through the user information. Apart from the Star Web netizens, the Star Web staff were even more excited. At first, when sending a message to Black, the Star Web staff was just trying their luck. They did not expect Black to reply immediately. Black was an old troublemaker on Star Web. There were probably not many people on Star Web who refused to add anyone as a friend. The change of the Celestial Stairway winning streak leaderboard was a major event on Star Web. In a while, the news of Black's public duel at the Starlight Gladiator Arena would be pushed to every Star Web user. This duel would determine whether Black could successfully enter the Sanctuary Hall. Therefore, they had to pay special attention to the choice of opponent. This put the Star Web staff in a difficult position. The staff found the Star Web manager and asked, "Big Brother Wong, matching Black with an opponent is really difficult for us." "Brother Wong, matching Black with an opponent is too difficult for us. We need you to come up with an idea." Upon hearing his subordinate's question, Wang Zhong felt his head swelling again. This duel that was open to the entire Star Web had the nature of an exhibition match. Apart from a head-on clash of strength, it had to be exciting. This was the only way to achieve the publicity effect. Every spirit chi professional's abilities and contracted phase were different. They had to choose the corresponding opponent according to the spirit chi professional's phase and abilities to ensure an exciting duel. However, Star Web did not know what Black's phase were or how many he had. Wang Zhong had thought of using his authority to check Black Star Web information. From there, he could understand Black's real-time data. However, after checking, Wang Zhong found out that Black's information had been encrypted. Furthermore, Black's authority was even higher than his. He was not qualified to check Black's information. This level of encryption could only be done by the three lords who had built Star Web. Furthermore, the three lords could not check each other's encrypted information. If Wang Zhong wanted to check Black's information, the lord who had encrypted it would definitely know. Since this lord valued Black so much, Wang Zhong did not know how to arrange an opponent for Black. Therefore, Wang Zhong simply sent a letter and handed it over to them. He was prepared to see the lord's opinion. The Spirit Guards, the Radiance Royal Court, the Radiant Sacred Hall, and many other departments had received the news of the change of the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list. In the Radiance Royal Court, an old man sitting on a reclining chair looked at the young girl next to him with loving eyes. Qing, you always refuse to accept this and that. You have nothing to say now, right? You didn't break the Celestial Stairway's winning streak record, but someone else did. It's a winning streak, unlike you and Qi Rua, who had fought for 1.5 years. The young girl called Qing beside the old man had a slight change in her eyes. She knew very well how difficult it was to win 50 consecutive duels on the Celestial Stairway. She had only won 50 duels in a year and had almost failed several times. Of course, this had a lot to do with her luck. Therefore, she felt that the Celestial Stairway's winning streak list was a list determined by luck.